Doesn't have coffee.
Oh, it does.
Right in the middle of it, I hadn't thought of it like this.
I only drink half of it.
Did you take a sour?
I'll hold potency.
We'll call this meeting to order of the Boyle County Fiscal Court on May 28th, 2024 at 9 a.m. Madam Clerk, has this been properly advertised and do we have a quorum?
Yes.
All right, thank you all for being here today. It's good to see everybody. Magistrate Wagner, would you have a revocation, please?
Yes. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and bless each person that's here and all the work that they do in our county and our communities. And Lord, bless this, the budget that we've strove to make as good as it can be and help it to be for the good, the betterment of our community. And help our decisions today that they also are for the good. These things we ask in thy son's name. Amen.
Thank you very much. You all will stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and you may be seated. Okay, we have minutes from May 14th. Need a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Magistrate Gay, a second by Magistrate Wagner. Is there any discussion on the minutes?
Yes, Judge.
Okay,
Got time in here.
all right.
I apologize, but there was something that was difficult to interpret. Could we defer while I find it? Because I've marked several sections here that I wanted to talk about.
Okay, we can come back to it.
Thank you.
What we'll do is we'll go ahead and approve our budget transfers, and you all may notice that the bills and the budget transfers have kind of flip-flopped on the call to order. We thought it was just a little backwards, if you will, to approve the bills and then the budget transfers, because the budget transfers are part of the bills.
Right.
So we flip-flopped that, and thank you, Elena, for bringing that to our attention about that. So we will approve the budget transfers. Ms. Shannon?
Oh, yes, I have budget transfers, the ones that Tina sent with the packet, $574,580.81. And then I realized that I had missed the $50,000 for Junction City Park, so I gave that to you this morning.
And if you all will remember from the last meeting, we said that there was no budget transfers at that meeting, that they would all be presented today. So.
I'll make a motion to approve budget transfers.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Magistrate Wagner, a second by Magistrate Sleeper. Any discussion on the budget transfers? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. And now we'll have the cash transfers.
I have cash transfers, $825,000, $20,000 from the general fund to Public Works, $350,000 from the general fund to jail, $450,000 from general fund to EMS, and $5,000 from the general fund to fleet.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the cash transfers?
So moved.
I have a motion by Magistrate Gay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Magistrate Wagner. Any discussion on the cash transfers?
Is that joint jail? It says joint jail?
Yes.
That's the joint, okay.
All right. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. All right, we'll approve the bills.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Alrighty. Today's bills total $230,284.91 with no last minute add-ons.
Awesome.
I move we approve the bills as presented.
Okay, have a motion by Magistrate Gay, second by Magistrate Sleeper. Any discussion on the bills? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
And now we are back to approve the minutes.
Judge, I'll just defer on what I had. Wasn't of great consequence, I suppose. I thought I'd marked it. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Motion to approve the prior meeting minutes.
So moved.
Motion by Magistrate Ellis, second.
Second.
Magistrate Gay. Any other discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Thank you all very much. All right, old business, we have Casey McCoy.
He's out in the hallway.
Is he out in the hall? Okay. Not used to being that close up on the agenda. Not used to being first, are you? Good morning.
Morning. Real quick, it's just turning over. It's going to be a little more excess fees from last year. It has to do with the first payroll or the last payroll of the last pay period that was partly in December and then partly in January. So it's just we just took it from the wrong. I won't say wrong. It was fine, but this should have been handed over with the excess fees from last year.
And what's that amount?
It's $32,676.21.
All right.
Thank you very much.
And then I want to hand these out. I don't know if I'm allowed to because it's.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Let me get a motion to approve this.
Okay.
We need a motion to approve
So
the additional
moved.
excess fees. Magistrate Gay, second. Magistrate Wagner. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you.
Can I?
Yes, sir. You go and explain what it is. Yeah, you got the floor.
Thanks, sir.
If you look on, I just want to make you all aware of this because it's going to, I plan on going live with it on June 1st. And it's through the clerk's office. It's a Text My Gov app, and it's text notification for all Boyle County voters. You can text that number that's on there, and it will sign you up to get election notifications, deadlines, polling places. You can text a question, and it's a one word. It'll take that word, and it can send you to our website, the state's website. If you're looking to get an absentee ballot, you can text absentee ballot to it, and it'll send you to the website where you need to go to. If you need to know who your magistrate is, you can text magistrate to it, and it'll send you to either our clerk's office website or the county website to give you a list of the magistrates and the
That's good
locations.
because we get asked that a lot. Who's my magistrate? So,
That's right. So it's going to go live. I'm going to try to push it out there, and so more people that sign up
See what roads I
that
have.
opt into it, and hopefully it'll be a good thing. I think with the next election coming up, it should be, if it takes off, it'll be really helpful.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Sounds
That's
good.
great. And you've got this on your Facebook page too?
Yes,
Okay.
it's gonna go on there probably today. And then I'm gonna send it out. I'm gonna try to send it out to the Republican chairman and the Democratic chairman. That way, everybody can get as many people
Yeah,
plugged
yeah.
into it as we can.
And then we will share a link to it on the county's webpage.
Yep, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
How'd this last election go?
I mean, it went smooth as it can, but of course, we only had around a little over 10%, just under 11% turnout. So I think it was 2,000 and some voters out of
Yeah.
almost 23,000. So of course, we look for the next election to be a lot larger.
You go from one extreme to the other.
Exactly.
That'll be big.
Are you, I know you're still new at this, but are you kind of seeing maybe this voting on multiple days is kind of inhibiting the process? Because people think, oh, I can vote here, I can vote there, maybe I'll vote another day, and they forget about it, or
No.
what, is this just turnout?
It's just turnout. It's just timing. I hope and pray that they never take away early voting,
Yeah.
day absent, early voting. I think it's one of the best things ever, and it gives more people. It
Right.
makes it easier on our office and my staff
I'm just trying
to
to
spread
figure
it
out,
over 3 days.
you know,
But no, I don't feel like that had anything to do with it. I just feel like it's what was on both sides of the ballot, and, unfortunately, the Commonwealth Attorney race fell on a ballot that hadn't, one other thing on it, and that's, that's
okay.
unfortunately part of
I
it.
guess we'll find out in November.
And the primary for the presidential race is over, so.
Right.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
already decided.
That was ours,
So
yeah.
there wasn't anything to really
Yeah.
vote for.
Yeah.
One ballot had 2 races and the other ballot had 1, so there just wasn't a lot to.
Yeah.
And then when people, some people would call and be upset because there's only that one thing or 2 things on the ballot, they thought there was more, so
Yeah.
there wasn't.
Good deal. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Have a good day. Okay, Senator Bledsoe will be here at some point. She wasn't for sure. She had an issue with something she was doing with some kids. Is that right?
She had a kid thing pop up.
Okay, kid thing pop up. So she will be here and we'll work her into the agenda when she arrives. So we'll move on and we'll have Chamber of Commerce Executive Director Jeff Jewell. Welcome.
Thank you. Kelsey, you want to join me? Well, we have a little presentation from the farmer's market. This is Kelsey Crossfield. She's on our board, and she's one of the head people at Tallulah Farm.
Yay!
You've probably all had her sourdough bread by
Yes,
now.
yes.
So we just want to thank you guys for all the work you've done on Constitution Square and for allowing that to remain our home. The farmer's market has become wildly successful beyond our wildest dreams. When we moved here 5 years ago, we had no idea we'd be serving between 1,000 and 1,200 customers a day,
Yeah.
Saturday morning, and we have 68 approved vendors this year.
Wow.
And we have a waiting list already.
Wow.
To thank you guys for providing us with a
awesome.
home, we would like to present you with a check for $1,000 for the Constitution Square Gala.
Awesome. Thank
It's just our way of saying thank you.
Yeah, thank you so
That's
much.
awesome.
That is fantastic.
Yes.
You guys want to
Kelsey,
get in the
get the
picture?
picture.
I mean, this is everybody, not just
That's
me.
good.
Why don't you get in here? Do you have anything you want to add?
No, just thank you all so much for allowing that to be.
I came looking for rolls
Our
on
spot.
Saturday, so I didn't get my rolls, but that's okay.
We just need to build you guys bigger sidewalks because it's hard getting around there.
It is, it's crowded now.
Yes.
Now.
Squeeze in.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Squeeze
please,
on.
Jamie, as I say, I can see a bit of a Jamie. 1, 2, can we, yeah.
Really? I get it up
My, There.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
You're
Thanks
welcome.
for
Thank
you. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Yeah. Thank you.
We'll leave the real check on.
Yay! All right. We appreciate that very much. And Farmers Market is very near and dear to us, and Master Cullen and I are working diligently to try to find something that will enhance Farmers Market. So
Awesome.
we'll keep our ear to the ground and listen for places to.
And if I can switch over my Chamber of Commerce
Yes,
real quick.
yes.
You know, we have a gala coming up at the airport.
Yes.
It's the airport's 90th birthday, or 105th birthday, and the awards committee has just made their announcements on Friday. And I know you know this already, Charlie, but the Boyle County Fiscal Court is being recognized with a historically bold award for all the preservation work at Constitution Square.
Yes.
So I hope you all can make it out.
Thank you. Thank you.
Go up in a balloon with Shirley and I. It'll be fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And sadly, there's more sunshine today than there was last week.
Yeah. That's-
Lost a lot of trees.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a war zone up there right now, but we'll get it cleaned
But
up.
I noticed the crews were out there right
Yeah,
away too, so that was
oh,
great.
yeah.
Where they're held off though, Jeff and I even talked about it. I was looking at the app. I'm like, man, I got about a half hour to do my shopping before it starts getting
Yeah.
wet over here, but it
Yeah.
held off. So it's
Yeah.
We've had these windows every Saturday where it was raining as late as 6:30, and then it held off till like about the last
Yeah,
people packed out.
Isn't that
So
crazy?
we've been really lucky with that.
Yeah.
We had the Bowden reunion Saturday
yeah.
before the storm, so we had the pictures before the trees.
oh, that's wonderful.
Had to tell some of the
Yeah.
people there that those trees that we just sat under yesterday are not there, or won't be
Yeah.
there for long, so it's sad to see
Well,
that.
we really appreciate
Most welcome.
the gift and appreciate you all and Farmers Market.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, Solid Waste Director Angie Muncy, come on down.
Good morning.
Good morning. You look pretty today.
All right, my first thing I have the waste tire grant agreement. This is basically a standard thing every year. It's $4,000 that we get for just waste tires. Pick up beside the road, incur them expenses.
All right. We have a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion by Magistrate Sleeper, a second by Magistrate Cullen. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
Okay, next we have the 24-25 recycling grant that was received. I got the full amount for $171,494.16.
Awesome.
Woohoo.
Woo-hoo.
We need a motion to accept that.
For Chili to sign away.
Yep.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Magistrate Gay, second by Magistrate Bodner. Any discussion on the recycling grant?
You should have a sheet there that shows you what, yeah, I see. Looking at it.
All right, all those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Thank you.
And the last one is our hazardous household waste grant agreement for $22,000. This will be held August the 24th. For anybody wanting to know the date,
August 24th,
Saturday from 8:30 till 1 o'clock.
8:30 to 1.
Will be at the Government Services Center. And of course, we will have the radio station on hand with hamburgers and hot dogs again, so.
And we'll be putting in information as to what's allowed and not allowed.
All that other good
Closer it gets
stuff.
to it. Okay.
Yes.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the household hazardous waste management grant?
So moved.
Magistrate Ellis, second. Magistrate Sleeper, any discussion on this grant? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
This year, we will be having a 3-day tire event. Don't ask me the date. The state has not released the date yet. But usually, I'm looking for September. Yeah, I know. So, we will be having it though this year. So, it's only every 3 years, so please don't call me on Monday after that and say, Angie, when are they gonna take tires again? Every 3 years, not every year, every 3 years.
Will you speak to the situation that we were discussing earlier?
Yes,
this
that
morning?
was next.
And yes, thank you.
Okay,
So if I got a couple big tractor tires, I can bring that to that event?
No. No, I'll burn them on your property though. I can burn them on your property.
All right.
It would have been some of the brush that we have too much of.
All right.
I look for that to happen, always does. But
Speaking of
anyhow,
brush.
you know, Allen Springs takes brush and limbs. Not big root balls, not big 20-foot round trees. We don't take them. We can't. So, but that's why everybody gets mad, and they think that's why my worker's so bad out there, because he does what he's supposed to do. But we do have the chipper. So we are chipping today. I sent 2 men out there. Matter of fact, I'm going out there and I leave here. I'm going to change clothes and I'm going to go help chip. But anyway, we're going to try to serve the people that's coming in instead of worrying about the pile that's already there. We're going to try to get a hold of it. In the meantime, I've always said we need a staging area. And we never need nothing until we need it. Now we're desperate. We need a staging area where, you know, my understanding is Bellevue Cemetery is a war zone. Constitution Square is a war zone. We have lots of war zones, and I know that's the city. I'm aware of that, but I know the county's got a lot of issues as well. We need a place that we can get. Lebanon Road is a good area. We just talked about that. The new property could be a staging area. However, I have to go to Danville to get approval because it is in the city limits.
And that's to burn.
And that's to pile up.
Not to chip, but to burn.
That's to burn. This is a staging area, is a place that when you have a disaster like this, that everybody can take their stuff and put it there, county included. You know, we're accept, the county, I can take theirs out there, but we just can't, to hold it. But we need a staging area that the state says okay, the fire chief say okay and gives us a permit to burn, legally and slowly. But we don't have one of them right now.
That's what it costs.
Like I said, it's not a problem until we have a problem.
I don't know.
But Donnie Sexton cannot give me that
It's
because
the
it
city.
is in the city.
When they were burning at Alum Springs, there was constant smoke around the area, constantly.
Well, we can't burn out there anyway because we're stormwater permitted.
Right,
So-
but when you were doing it, it was, so I don't know how.
Well, I don't know. I don't mind the wood as bad as I do everybody else in Junction, burning stuff they ain't supposed to, and I have to smell it every morning, so
Right.
to me there ain't a difference. But.
Right, so I don't know how that would work in the city of Danville, I don't know what they'll say about that, but that's my concern.
Well, it's either that or there's nowhere for them to take their stuff.
We have to find a place. I mean, it's like I said, this has been a problem. Julie knows we've talked about this since I've been here, and it's not a problem till now. It is a problem.
Can it be taken to Perry?
No.
I could,
Okay?
I might be able to help you.
Well, it's stormwater permitted.
Right.
All of our centers are now stormwater permitted. They will not allow you to burn
At
there.
any of the
Any of the
convenience-
centers.
Okay, all right.
Believe me, that was my first thought too, but because you're
Bryant has
stormwater
it.
permitted, we cannot do that.
Probably, Wagner won't work because of Clerk's rent.
Okay, great.
Okay.
As soon as we can
So
find
get with
somewhere,
Brian and-
I am gonna get with the City of Danville Fire Department and see if
Yeah.
Roger seems to think him and I discussed it this morning. Yeah, me and him's just like, yeah, we've been chewed up, sprayed out, and everything else. But anyhow, what a weekend. You don't get peace when stuff happens. They want it now. But my mother, matter of fact, has been out of power 48 hours, and it's not expected 28th at midnight. So that's what. Remember me and you talk about entitlement, Jamie? Me, you, and Jason. Yeah, this is entitlement. But I worried about the smoke being over there, but Roger seems to think it would blow towards Dana instead of more towards the buildings, the industry, than it would back along with the people.
Okay. Well, if Brian has got something that
Brian
he can
might
work
have
with
something
you,
will work, okay.
then
As soon as I find
we may not
something,
have to use that.
and I have a call into Brian Schrader, who is my person from the state who would say A or nay, so.
Okay,
For right now, that's the best I can do.
okay. Just wanted you all to know what the situation is, and, if constituents call, you all can relay the message to them that they can't take large trees and that type of thing at Alum Springs.
And we
It has to
never
be-
have,
No.
people try to sneak it in there on us, but, it's just one of them
No,
things.
during the ice storm, of course, it was a lot of stuff, but Coil Stone, the Albrights, they jumped in and helped out with the burn areas out there at the quarry. So that could be something that somebody might want to ask about.
Okay.
Because they have access. There was, at that time, I don't know if they still do, but at that time there was an access point off of the, what is that, 150?
Because we're gonna have to do something pretty quickly, because.
Quickly,
gotta
and we
get
need
the
something
word
that's
out
gonna
to
be
people where to
permanent,
take
that when
their
something
trees.
like this happens, it's permanent, We don't have to call the state in, we have a plan. It should have been a plan, like I said, a long time ago, but this is where we're at. This is what we need to do.
Okay, all right, well, get with Brian and see what idea he has, and see if
Okay.
y'all get something worked out, and let's get the information out to the public
All right,
ASAP.
good deal. Anything else?
Good.
Anybody's got?
Yes,
Driving around the county, at least my western district, there would be hundreds of people probably burning. So I would strongly suggest that we put on our Boyle County Fiscal Court website that they must have a permit or be subject to several $100 fine. Easy to do, and we can, put that phone number on so that people are aware that they can't just burn.
Yeah, Chief Sexton will gladly give you a burn permit
Yeah.
for stuff like that, so.
Now, wind conditions and everything else enter
Oh,
into
yeah.
it, but
yeah, yesterday would not have been the day to burn.
it's simple to do, yeah.
All right, thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, next, Sheriff Bottom.
Is Elaine in here?
You want her?
Yeah, she
Okay.
said
she explained it to me.
Okay, she's coming. She'll be right here. You got any reports you want to give from storm?
Everybody was safe and didn't do anything stupid on my end.
For you all that didn't know,
Say a lot.
Deputy Rui came up here and opened the courthouse during the storms, both different times, one in the early afternoon and then later on that night. So he was up here and had it open if anybody wanted to come up here and use the courthouse as a shelter. So we want to thank Deputy Rui for that, and thank you for getting that set up and arranged to have somebody here to let the public in. All right.
So, I guess we technically haven't gone over it again. We just need more money to
get us to the
July
end of the fiscal year, yes.
for vehicle maintenance. Elena talked with Tommy, and you know how many cars that was? 25 cars?
Yes.
Okay. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah.
please? Thank
Yeah,
you.
I got you.
Thank you.
Okay, so after the transfers you guys have already given to him, you've credited that line a little bit. After the encumbered amount we have for this meeting, we have $1,029.29 left to spend in that line. That is not going to get us through to July. So I called Tommy on the 23rd, and I talked to him, and I said if we just have to do the basic service to every vehicle to make sure we can do an oil change and top off anything that they need, it's going to be about $95. And then he asked if we could have $1,000 worth of emergency money for tires, just in case the deputy needs tires. So we're going to request $3,375 be transferred into the vehicle maintenance repair line so that we can get through to July 1.
I'm sorry, how much was that again?
$3,375.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll have a conversation with Director Rogers about this too, because the Sheriff's Committee met this morning. And I think when we did the budget for the sheriff about maintenance and stuff like that, it was based on past maintenance on how things were done. While I appreciate how thorough Tommy is, I think things are getting replaced sooner than we need them to, which has caused them to jump into their budget a little bit deeper than what it is. You know, so I have a conversation with Mike to make sure he and me and Tommy get together and figure out how we can make sure we're getting at least the sheriff or deputy sheriff to sign off on this stuff before he goes and does it. So that way they get their vehicles back on the road quicker, and then we're more mindful of the budget. So, anyway.
Now, has that already been included in transfers we approved earlier, that amount?
I don't believe that amount was included in those transfers. This was standalone, right? Right. Yeah. I wanted to ask.
So we just need to approve it now?
You just need to approve it now. Yep.
Okay. All right, so I need a motion to approve a transfer of $3,375 into the sheriff's vehicle maintenance line item.
I'll make that motion.
All right, and
Second.
Mr. Gay, second by Mr. Cullen.
He's rushed.
We just wanna,
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
Be careful with that any discussion, because Jason's drinking his
I know,
caffeine
that's what
now,
I'm saying.
so-
I know, yeah.
We need to issue a warning that his caffeine's going in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
incoming.
Incoming.
Thank
Thank you, guys.
Report on? Okay,
Thank you all.
thank you.
Take it up a level.
All right, County Administrator Julie Wagner, Fiscalsoft and GovOS. Okay, let me pull that up real quick.
Should I have my GovOS pen on?
Yes.
We have spoken to, sorry to do a little bit of a pause here. We had spoken to Fiscalsoft, and our auditors,
Imagine two bears.
when they came in and met with us, suggested that we drop Springbrook and pick up Fiscalsoft as of July 1st. So we had a Zoom meeting with them. They can bring us a package with fiscal books, fiscal pay, and the payroll component for $65,000. If you'll see in the budget, which we'll talk about later, I have budgeted for Fiscalsoft, Springbrook for 1 year so that we can pull over anything that we need.
Still say we should be paying them.
And I know, and KBS for tax admin until we take care of that. So Fiscalsoft piece is is gonna be about 65,000 a year.
Didn't they give us a discount because they felt sorry for us?
They did. Yeah, they did.
They did. And they're.
Literally.
I know. I wasn't kidding.
And they committed that they would have us up and running by July 1st. So, the history will remain in Springbrook for the time being. I'm not sure really how good that history is right now.
Because we want this to be, start fresh.
Clean.
Brand
We're
new-
not gonna import-
brand new books.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're not importing in data. We will print what we need within the next year. Or, if we eventually feel like the data's good, we could bring it over, but for right now, Fiscalsoft is gonna be about 65,000. So that would
Julie was
take.
practicing her negotiation skills.
Yes, I was very good.
She did awesome.
You were in my, back of my head, Jamie, going, don't offer more. So, I don't know if you want to approve these independently, discuss independently.
I think we probably should.
Okay.
So let's go with the Fiscalsoft, invoice of $65,000. Need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion by Manager Gay, second by Manager Cullen. Any discussion?
I'm letting you have the second here.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, and then next we have GovOS.
Okay, GovOS, if you look at page 9 of what was in your packet, the annual fee for GovOS, we were quoted about $115. That's actually coming at $109, $818.83. The implementation fee for a one-time fee is $34,186.50. So the first year contract is $144,005.33, and with a recurring fee of $109,818. And this is to take our payroll into the modern era
Right.
where clients can pay online.
Tax collection.
Tax collection, what did I say?
Payroll.
Oh, gosh.
Occupational tax. Shannon on your mind.
Shannon's back here going, you're taking my job. No, you can go online and pay. You won't have to fill out paper forms anymore. It will catch mistakes for us. So I think the workload and the need for 2.5 people will reduce, which is
Well,
good. So I'm recommending that we engage with GovOS
Okay.
as of July 1st.
So moved.
Have a motion by Manager Gay,
Go ahead.
second.
second by Manager Bowden. Any discussion on the new occupational license tax filing software? All right,
Much needed.
much needed, very much needed.
Yeah.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Thank you all very, very much. Okay, next is the United Way Committee discussion. I pulled the resolution that we passed.
Can I tear it up?
February 26th and 27th, which said that we will support the homelessness and food insecurity, what's the word, Steve?
Insecurity.
Food insecurity.
Yeah, food,
Homeless
okay.
Food insecurity.
Through the United Way. Instead of those entities coming to us, we will pass that on to United Way. United Way will decide who and how much.
That's not essentially accurate.
Okay.
The United
Help me
Way
out,
will be
will
the
ya?
vehicle, but the allocation decision will be made by representatives from city, county, and health department.
Right,
We're just
okay.
using their mechanism
Yes.
because they're very good at, they have a very good track record
And
of
that would be
transparency
Jamie
and allocation.
And Paul is our
And
representatives on that.
accountability.
Yeah. I think I'm just thinking United Way, not, yeah.
It's not a
Thank you for
United
the
Way
clarification. Yes, yes. Okay, so that was what was approved in February. Is there discussion?
Yes.
Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we rescind that United Way committee, whatever we're doing, after some research on it, looking at United Way, well, actually, whatever we contribute, we'll take 4% of it. They actually won't fund the things we thought they would fund. I don't know if it was me or what. I just did not quite understand what the purpose of it was completely. I thought they were just offering us an ability to go on a board and help make decisions about funding. I didn't know that this was us circumventing the money that we would normally allocate out, that we were trying to not allocate as much because of budget shortfalls.
Okay, let's stop right there. We have a motion to rescind the
This is all
committee.
part of my motion. I'm just kidding.
I need to get a second before we have any more discussion.
For discussion purposes, I second.
Okay. All right, now, discussion.
Nah. Anyway, so didn't realize all that was part of this. So I think we need to pull back, which is and figure out other ways of doing it instead of going through the United Way. So.
Okay, any other discussion?
Yeah, let me just give some context to the resolution, so when we make a vote, we are informed of what it's about. So appreciate your comments there, Magistrate Cullen. The genesis of this was that the Health Department had some funds available they wanted to use in terms of homeless and food insecurity. They wanted the city and the county to come on board and help match those funds to some degree, and the city went ahead and made 2 resolutions. They made the same resolution we did, but they also made a second resolution with all their social programming funding would go through the same process, the same allocation type committee. We only voted for the one to do the homeless and food insecurity. Last year, I met with Elena a few months back, and I think last year we had contributed, roughly funded about $15,000 for similar type things. Not necessarily homelessness though, but and so the United Way was selected as the vehicle in which this would work because they have such a good track record of with allocation, not just allocation, but also transparency and accountability of follow-up. The idea was that one, these organizations that come to us requesting funds of this nature, they go to the city, they go to the county, they go to the United Way. They would not have to go to all 3 entities anymore. And there would be this committee to determine the allocation, which we have representatives on, as well as the city and the health department. That way it'd not be just us determining where the funds would go necessarily. And then we would receive reports as to how things are going for the accountability part of it. Another part of the reason for it is with collaborations such as this, city, county, United Way,
Health Department.
Health departments, thank you. And then when private organizations want to contribute, and also state and federal grant opportunities, collaboration between entities, such entities such as ours is a really big bonus. It creates fosters more opportunities for funding in general. So that was one of the reasons why it was done as well. So I guess that's all I have to say about it, I think.
Okay.
Unless there's any questions.
Thanks, Judge. Magistrate Cullen has made the comment that, and I'm going to add a word, there's not necessarily an assurance that it would go where we intend it to go. 2 things factor into that: the fact that we have 2 people seated to make sure that that does happen, and that the manner in which we're sending it to them should be enough to have that visibility. Can you help me understand why you believe that in fact it could be lost? And perhaps it's by a vote. Our 2 magistrates make the positive vote, but somebody else intervenes and says, no, let's put it in another line item.
Julie, can you chime in on what you've learned about the United Way and
Well, I think the biggest concern is that I met with Lee at the city and we kind of fleshed out how this might look. Is it, like, I'll use family services, they're already getting money from United Way and they get money from us, they would not get both pots of money. So agencies that we traditionally fund, if we move them over there, would not get duplicate money. So you're actually cutting the funding to your social programs by doing it this way. And then I wasn't aware there was a fee taken out of our money that we were giving, and so I think that's.
Would that be their normal
4%,
administrative fee?
That's normal administrative fee,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. And I wasn't aware of that 4% of what you allocate to agencies is actually going to United Way for their operations, and then that's less money going to the social programs. We could administer that like we have in the past. And I'm talking about the agencies that we're funding. I think new agencies and new homeless initiatives, and that is something totally different. But to send our agencies that we normally funded over to United Way, they're not going to get the funding that we would have given them.
And also, it could put a higher burden on Boyle County as we were trying to siphon down who we were giving to.
Yeah.
And we actually could get pulled into a direction where we're gonna have to start going instead of, like, say, we all allocated 50,000 this year. Well, next year they could require or request we give 100,000 because they're funding more programs, and we do not have the discretion, technically the full discretion, as we've learned with other boards we're on, that we kind of have to say, well, we're a partner, so we've got to fund this like the others are funding this. So instead of actually putting a constraint on how much we're giving to these various organizations, we could open Pandora's box and allow the county to start giving a lot more. I think, Paul, I think it was you that kind of mentioned some constituents that said, and I've had this as well, is that they really don't want their county tax dollars to go to organizations. They'd rather have their own, they'd rather determine where their money gets spent, not the county.
I think, having learned that the 4% I'm now interpreting, and I hope it's correct, means that 96% of 96 cents on a dollar that goes into the United Way goes out in human services of one kind or another. If that is an accurate statement, having done a lot of research on entities out there on their return on the dollar, there are many that are 60 cents, 50 cents, 8 cents on the dollar out there. So if you have this group of all the others that we have traditionally given money to, and they have administrative staff, and some of those staff members are, some of those models are not going to be returning 96 cents on a dollar for human services, then I think that's a compelling argument to stay with what we voted a few weeks ago.
I feel like, we all know that United Way is a great program, and and obviously if it's just taking 4%, that's awesome. But I still feel like we need to have control and direction of what, if we're going one way or the other, we're gonna give money to social programs. And I feel like rescinding it and doing it, going back and looking at it like we have before, I would think that would be the best way to go for me.
Because if you're going to take back if you're automatically going to cut $4,000 off the top, say if we give them $50,000, $4,000 automatically gets cut. I mean, that's $2,000. No, 2,000. I'm sorry, $2,000. That's kind of what we give to organizations. If we fund, like when we fund the lunch over at the National Guard Center, I mean, that's $1,000 right there. I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot, but $2,000 is what we give organizations a lot. So
I think you're talking family services, CASA. These are groups that aren't going to get the funding because they're already funded through United Way.
Correct.
So we're actually cutting these groups
significantly.
But were we going to transfer them over to United Way, so we weren't going to be funding them anyway, right?
Well,
not necessarily. There were some groups that we were still holding on to. The hope is that
I don't think family services was one of them.
We decided to let
We're talking
United Way fund
strictly
them.
homeless and food insecurity, which I know is still somewhat vague, but, you know.
Yeah, that was, see, here's the vague part, and this is the confusing part, is when we said, homelessness and food insecurity, I didn't know it transmitted into, now we're just going to, instead of saying we're not gonna fund these organizations because, we really shouldn't be funding them, we've got a budget right now that's, luckily, your office has been able to kind of put back together, but it's cut out a lot of stuff for our own agencies, like Public Works is losing stuff, recycling is losing stuff. But the idea that we have money to give away to other organizations when we can't fully do our own organizations just baffles me still.
I understand, I'm just.
I understand, it's the point of yeah, we want to sponsor a few things here or there,
Yeah.
but just handing out money for other people to hand out, that's really more of a community aspect than a government aspect, or
So
should be.
we have to decide what organizations we are going to let
Right. Now,
submit applications to us for
Yeah,
funding and which ones we're not. Because if I remember correctly, Family Services was one of the ones that we passed
And
to,
CASA.
and CASA to the United Way. We
no,
didn't-
CASA is not passed to the United Way.
We didn't fund them.
No, CASA we funded. No, CASA is funded.
I know Family Services is one we passed.
The backpack
But there's-
program.
So, so I'm just saying going forward, is that one that we're gonna say,
Well,
we're not going to
a motion
accept an application?
Yeah, a motion I made before was that we were not going to accept any new applications. We've kind of had that as something we've done since
But
I.
Family Services wasn't a new one. Yeah.
No, correct.
Yeah.
Sorry, I
Correct, but what we're
Family
finding
Services.
is that several of these are duplicates, like, where they kind of fund each other and go back and forth. And
Yes.
so it's like, okay, we're reinventing the wheel each time we.
Yeah, I'm just trying to clarify
So
what we need.
what my original motion was before, several meetings back, was that we're not, to put it on record, we are not going to take any new funding requests. If somebody has a funding request, a company like the United Way would be a great place to go, where they get donations, they do fundraising, because that's really the big thing, is that the more we donate to certain organizations, the less fundraising they do. Tom's gonna bring up probably at the end the Heritage Hospice. They do a fantastic job of fundraising. CASA does a great job. They only come in for a little bit of money, not the majority, of their budget. And so that's what we've seen for several years, is that, Magistrate Cablewood used to make the argument all the time, is that, if we're giving money to them, they're not really feeling the need to go out and raise it on their own. And so that's kind of always been the pushback. And so my motion before was, let's stop taking any new requests for funding. This is what we're going to fund. This is what we funded in the past. And then if they want to get money, then we need to be able to push them to organizations. And that's kind of what I thought we were doing with the United Way, is that we were giving an opportunity. I didn't realize we were just circumventing the funding we would normally give, because it doesn't make any sense to give it to somebody else to do and take money off the top.
Okay,
So,
this was a joint resolution with the city, so we both agreed to it and voted on it, as two separate government bodies. And this is what the resolution did. The Heart of Kentucky United Way is designated as the primary point of contact for the coordination of referrals pertaining to homeless and food insecurity in our community, including funding of local initiatives. Each will support them financially in their respective budgets as approved by their respective legislative bodies. Local partners desiring to seek funding for initiatives addressing homelessness and food insecurity shall apply for funding through the Heart of Kentucky United Way's comprehensive process, which provides accountability and measures outcomes in a transparent fashion by regular reporting. Each will designate up to 2 potential members of their respective bodies to serve on the Heart of Kentucky United Way Health Allocation Panel to determine the best use of annual funding to address homelessness and food insecurity, and it will be effective for 1 year. It may be renewed at the pleasure of each respective body.
The city is not doing it.
So they
What'd you say?
signed, so are they rescinding
You're not
as well
doing it?
then?
Is the city rescinding?
Because they signed it.
We still have those organizations that we're giving money to.
The way-
if you kind of go back to the conversation that Julie's had with Earl and herself, I think what's being brought up here is that there's still questions to be answered.
Well, I don't see a monetary amount on this. All I see is that
That's
this,
a big question.
we designated 2 people to serve on this committee, and the committee will determine where the funding will go. This didn't hold us to any amount of funding. Measure Gay.
Yeah, and that's what, I think that's where a lot of, you're hitting on the point that is the point.
It is.
And that there is no, at this point in time, this is a plain forward resolution that these homelessness and food insecurity groups that we don't know about are going to be applying for funding, that committee then discusses for future budget issues, is the way I understood that to be. That this is not this current budget year issue, that this is, but it doesn't relate to any of the entities that
It doesn't
were
mention
already,
any
that were
money.
already funding. This is a homelessness and food insecurities issue moving forward, just to allow that to go into a different mechanism than our current appropriations process.
Because it says the city and county will designate up to 2 potential members of the respective bodies to serve on the Heart of Kentucky United Way Health Allocation Panel to determine the best use of annual funding to address homelessness and food insecurity.
So that's a line item within it.
It's not talking about us funding.
Yeah, but we discussed during budget that we were going to give them $50,000.
Okay, but it
That's
wasn't,
not specific to that.
it's not, yeah, it's not specific to this.
I think that was something that, that amount was an amount for a
Resolution, I'm sorry.
for a, help me out here, casework
Yeah.
that was not related to that
So
process.
we're
That
not,
was
we're not
another-
giving any money,
I haven't budgeted anything
No.
until you tell us what you want.
we're not
budget.
giving any money to United Way.
Not
No.
not today.
No,
You tell us what you want.
that
Steve asked-
$50,000 was a different thing from
That was a
Steve
separate
related
thing. We
to
took
the
that
homelessness
out.
task force.
And we took that out
Just one
because
second.
we're gonna get help with living in this thing, so.
But all this resolution does is
No, I understand the
appoint.
resolution, but then why were we bringing, no, there was additional amount
Yeah,
where
there was.
we were going to give, yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
where we were going to give money
Right.
to United Way
That had
outside.
nothing to do with this.
Because
though.
there were appropriations in the appropriation meeting that you said, let's kick it to United Way. The food truck, the backpack programs, the family services. You said, let's kick that to United Way. so
Yeah, I
we
think
can
that was
fund
just
them.
us not fully understanding.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
but that doesn't have anything to do with,
No, so I think this is a
Making
future
this
budgeting
committee. Yeah.
process as an avenue for homelessness and food insecurity funding requests to be made.
Okay. Measure Dallas.
forward. And maybe
How-
then-
So how do
Measure
you?
Dallas.
Okay, go ahead.
Judge, if I'm looking at a document over your shoulder there that is already signed by both city and county, we have mass confusion here. And if the city is not going to do it, even though we have a signed document, then we need a clarification.
Well, I
Mr.
think
Are they
Serious,
not going to be on the committee? You don't have 2 people appointed to be on the committee?
Yep.
are you participating because we have a signed document?
I don't know who signed it, we probably need to
Mayor.
talk to Earl, because we still are funding shared services and not United Way.
Okay. Well, the mayor signed it.
Oh, the mayor?
Was a
Okay,
resolution.
well,
The mayor signed it. It's a resolution. It's a joint city-county resolution to appoint people from fiscal court, city commission, to this, I'm gonna call it a task force, for lack of a better word.
And that's what I thought we were doing.
United, with United Way. There's 2 members of each one. 2 from city, 2 from county, 2 from United
It's
Way.
still a good idea whether we fund them or not. but
Right.
That's a conversation that you would.
That's a totally separate conversation than just this resolution that made this committee. Okay.
Talk to the mayor about it.
Commissioner Bowden.
Okay, we've been around the block so long. We had made a motion
To rescind the committee, is that what you still want to do,
No,
is
to
rescind the?
rescind the resolution, wasn't it?
It was the resolution.
Yeah. Not the committee.
Okay.
Well, he said committee, because I wrote it down.
This is-
Yeah.
this
So
is
since
the
there's
committee-
no
committee
money,
Participation committee
appro-
anyway, so.
So there's, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Since there's no funding to it at all, it's a future thing, so should that, I mean, we need to address it, it's gonna definitely.
We
be an
do,
issue.
I want clarity on what, I mean, you throw out buzzwords like food insecurity and homelessness or whatever, that, well, not that homelessness is a buzzword, but food insecurity technically is like, what's the definition behind that? Like, what's the goal of this committee? Is strictly to kind of put together like, okay, these are the organizations that will accomplish eliminating those things?
Okay, here's a paragraph I need to read because I was reading the end of it. Here's one I do need to read. Whereas the city and county desire to designate the Heart of Kentucky United Way as the point of contact for the coordination of referrals for all issues pertaining to homeless and food insecurity in our community, and will support them financially in their respective budgets as approved by their respective legislative bodies. So even though it doesn't mention an amount, it does say will support them financially in their budgets.
How is that, Judge, a future issue when we're under the gun to get our budget to DLG? Are we saying that we're deferring any until budget year 25, 26? I mean...
and that was my original request, is, and understanding this, is that this is, we're donating money. It's been brought up before. I mean, we can very well, you know, donate. We've donated money in the past. There's no reason why we defer to somebody else and lose money right off the top. You know, we're talking about 4 or 5 organizations. We're not talking about, you know, a whole litany of things. I mean, homelessness and food insecurity is very important, but, you know, I don't think the idea of deferring a couple organizations over them warrants, you know, losing taxpayer dollars of, you know, I mean, it might be 2,000 this year, it might be 4,000 next year, or whatever, depending on how much we have to continue to give. So
Keep in mind too, though, those tax dollars being contributed to those causes will help mitigate other costs to the community.
as in,
You know, in terms of, you know, indigent care and incarcerations and solid waste
Solid
issues
waste.
and things like that. Those
hopefully.
are big.
I mean, the United Way's already existed, and we have those problems. It's not like the United Way's a brand new organization. They've existed and they've funded different various organizations, and it's not decreased, it's actually increased, as we've seen. So.
Commissioner Gay.
How about if we just table this issue? I don't really feel like this has any impact on this budget cycle or budget year.
Because we don't have any money in the budget.
We're not putting
for the
anything
United
in there.
So
So I think we can work with the city and the health department and get a little better handle on what the ideas are here.
Leave the resolution as is.
Yeah, just leave it as it is and table it. It's not
It's not funded though. I mean,
it's not funded, and
No.
so we're not doing anything.
So then do
The
we
city's
take-
not doing anything.
What's the ramifications if we don't fund it? Do we not become a part of it? Because it says we will fund it.
Well,
I
it
mean,
sounds
that's-
like the city's not a part of it.
I think we need to talk with Earl and Lee and the mayor, and
And I'm fine with tabling it for now, but
when you get
We
back.
can table it, and there will be very limited things that we can change in our budget for second reading. So if it were to come up and you all want to fund it, we still have time. Otherwise, we can just table it and go as
Again,
it is.
Yeah, again, going back to my point I was making earlier is, I don't really feel like this is designed for this budget year. This is a future initiative to allow this group, and believe me, I'm willing to vote myself out of being on another committee, and got plenty of committees to serve on. So, but I think that it just is that knowing that we have a growing issue of homelessness in particular, that I think the city and the health department were looking for a mechanism to allow funding requests to come in for future funding requests, and that's where then that committee would make a recommendation back to their respective bodies to see if that funding could be fund it.
Mhm.
Judge.
Resolution only lasts for 1 year. Just to let you know that.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
Judge.
Be effective for 1 year, commencing and may be renewed at the pleasure of the respective public body. So February expires unless we renew it.
Right.
And it doesn't say a certain amount that we have to.
but it does request us that we have to put in order to be part of it though, right?
It says we'll put
It says that we're
money
gonna,
in the budget.
as approved by our respective budgets, and, but it just says, it's a year thing, but what about the part where it talks about, two potential, people from the fiscal court and then from the city commission to serve on the, board? Is that still something that is part of, or,
United Way.
United Way, are they agreeing to that? Because that was kind of part of it, we were gonna do that, so.
Yeah, I mean,
If they're not gonna allow us to do that, then that's something that, that was kind of, I think you wanted to do that, so you could have some discretion and.
On where it goes, but I mean, I guess if we're not gonna fund it, does it?
It's just gonna if you don't get this budget, if you don't
Alright.
approve this budget, then it's gonna expire
In February.
in February. Unless you renew it.
Measure Mills.
Judge, a compelling point here is, we do not know, I hate to use the business term, return on investment, but it's an investment of our taxpayer dollars, not ours. By tabling any action, by leaving things as they are with no budget line item in it, no dollars in it, that will give us an opportunity, and I will send to Julie so that she can decide how to pursue it. I will send a little document that I've got on my phone that I've had there for 15 years that shows the return on the dollar of many entities that people give to, and it will shock some of the people in this room. It'll shock members of this court. The tiny amount of money that is returned on the dollar on known state and national organizations. We can ask any of the entities that we have traditionally given money to, what is your 96 cents, as we heard about the United Way, your 80 cents, as we heard from another organization, and others that give far less than 50 cents back on a dollar. Because I don't want a taxpayer coming to me and say, why did you fund such and such, when they're known to only give 65 cents in a dollar when you could have gone through the United Way at 96 cents a dollar. So that's research that will be not, number one, easily done, and number two, requested of any of the entities that we've traditionally given money. I think you're going to be surprised with some of them.
Okay, the motion on the floor at this time is to rescind the resolution, the joint resolution,
I withdraw my second.
okay? Is there another second?
I mean, I'm fine tabling it
Okay. you gonna make-
because, I'll make a motion that we table it because I think informing our constituents about what's actually going on, having a conversation with the city, who is a partner, is what we need to do. There's just a lot of questions and not enough answers.
Okay, do we have a date that we want to discuss this further?
Well, I guess we've got to discuss it prior to the second reading.
Okay. So we will table it until the second meeting?
Correct.
Okay, table until the second meeting of June. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to table the motion to rescind the joint resolution of the city and county. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. All right, at this time, we will back up on our new business because Senator Amanda Bledsoe has joined us. Welcome, Senator.
Thanks.
And I think you're going to give us an update of some sort.
Of some sort.
Well, thank you for coming.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
And forgive me, I was visiting family this weekend and brought my suit without my notes, so I quickly jotted down 4 things.
It's okay. That's all right.
You can be half prepared. So I just wanted to, I've seen so many of you in Frankfurt, and I just wanted to return the favor and make sure that I'm kind of coming back and listening to what concerns you all have and vice versa. So I appreciate your all's thoughts and prayers during the accident. I think I missed all that early time. So people are looking at my record and they're like, well, you missed. I'm like, I did. And the Senate allows you to go back and vote, and I chose not to do that. I just felt like if I wasn't in the room this particular year, I didn't need to go back and record my votes for any other reason. And so if you have a question about how I may have voted, happy to answer those, but I chose not to do that this time because there was too many.
Yeah.
2, we passed the budget this year, which I'm really proud of. I probably underestimated how much time that was going to take of mine, and it was a fascinating learning experience. Like, the first time you write a budget, doing it for 2 years in a row and thinking about all the massive investment that we had, and then negotiating with the House after we passed our own was something, I thought at one point, we're on the same team, right? We're all trying to pass good work, and it was challenging, to say the least. But I'm real proud of the work that we did. I'm going to give just a couple of mentions about how we structured the bill in this year. We had the operating budget, which was in House Bill 6, which pretty much allowed the operating budget of the state to continue. So that's where we saw a large investment in Medicaid waivers. If you've heard of Michelle P. or the Community Waiver Program, thousands of people are on this waiting list. So we bit the bullet and put a lot of waivers on that list, which was really, really important. At K through 12, when you add Tier 1 transportation and SEEK was the largest investment in K through 12 since CARA. So when people say it wasn't enough, it's never enough. I'll be the first one to admit that. Like, there's never enough road construction money either. You do what you can in the context of the whole. But I was real proud of where we ended up on education as a long-term investment. We also did House Bill 1. So the key behind House Bill 6 and House Bill 1 really came down to how we do the triggers for the next couple of years. And the goal of the majority party has been to try to reduce income tax. So assuming nothing happens between now and July 1, although knock on wood, they'll probably hit the trigger this year and move to 3.5 in January. The goal behind that was to make sure we didn't overspend in the Budget Reserve Trust Fund. So House Bill 1 has all the one-time spending, and you know how important that is not to have recurring costs add on to your budget. So anything that was a one-time spend went on House Bill 1, like the $850,000 for the Perryville Dye House, which was an important piece, like the airport, which was another piece of that money, the $11.5 million for Mercer County's infrastructure for the Wilkinson Farm, which will absolutely have an impact here, I hope, in terms of economic development. That all went in House Bill 1. And we'll see. It would not surprise me if, probably not this next year, but in 2 years when we do the budget again, we'll have another House Bill 1. So my goal to you is to start thinking about what are transformational type one-time projects that might be useful in Boyle County that we can be kind of planning now for. It comes real fast, as you know. So if there's something that you're starting to work on, say, man, if we had X amount of money that could really be a catalyst to do something transformational, start thinking about that now.
You're standing in it.
Yeah, I know the City Hall in Lexington is in a very similar situation. The infrastructure needs are pretty extensive, so I get that. In fact, across the state, I was really surprised at how many infrastructure projects, and not just the buildings like your courthouses, but also the water insecurity across our state is pretty significant. So we invested about $500 million in water quality projects, which are massive. The other thing that we did in House Bill 1 that came from the Senate side was our goal was to put a lot of money toward transportation costs in high growth areas, and that allowed us to move up the rural money. So what often happens is that smaller counties don't rank as high in the shift money, as you know. And so if we could do one-time investments, Louisville, Lexington, Northern Kentucky, Bowling Green, some areas where we're seeing some growth because of new infill, if we could fund those with one-time money, that freed up a lot of general fund money. So I think Boyle County got, what, $18.5 million in allocation, which I think is the highest you've gotten maybe in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So that was the goal behind that, was if we could fund some of the big projects that frees up other money. I anticipate that being, I think the Senate actually had almost $1 billion. The House wasn't quite keen on spending that much. So I think we'll probably be fighting for that again if we can do it in terms of freeing up some more rural county money. So that's a good win.
Senator, may I interrupt there? You were way ahead of me when the judge and I and a couple of others came and met, and I was mentioning the composition of our roads. Perryville Road, going into historic Perryville and the Battlefield area, and now the state's, thank you, investing $850,000 in an amazingly important structure. You anticipated when I was talking about the composition of the roads. Perryville Road is the gateway for much of our $79 million of tourism trade, and you should drive it before you go home. I was talking to a 17-year-old young man yesterday, and he said all my friends ride either on the rumble strip or between the rumble strip and the horrible potholes. Perryville Road right now is either 4th or 5th with patchwork sections being fixed. And yet we've had promises for a number of years, and it has that composition that is unlike Washington County when you cross the county line, and it is a landing strip for an airplane. It's so wonderful. And it was paved longer ago than Perryville Road was. So we need help on Perryville Road. It shouldn't be
And
56.
300's got
But
dips in
300's
it.
on it before Perryville Road.
Yeah, but it's still there. Still
I
not.
wrote it
Thank you,
down.
I apologize.
No,
for that.
don't, this is
Excuse
right
me.
here, I wrote it down.
I think one point that is in those budgets that was really important, not a lot of people understand, is teacher pay. It was important for, in the bill that you all, the House and the Senate approved teacher pay to actually allow the local districts to make the choice on teacher pay, not KDE, which has been done in the past. So this way you can actually, the superintendents and the board can determine who gets those pay raises, not just a blanket across the board, which I think was an amazing thing. Is we've got to invest in education. I personally am a big charter school person as well. I come from the East Coast. I mean, it's funny when I'm here in Kentucky and I see so many people on one side that are against charter schools, but Delaware is a big charter school state that's just their education has grown so much because of these challenges to traditional schooling, and we've got several back where I'm from that have just flourished, and one of them is a military academy that's just incredible, and so I'm excited to see the possibility of us going from the bottom 2 or 3 in education where we are now, and possibly jumping up ahead with opportunities of charter school. But I think teacher pay was instrumental, and I think that was a really good win out of that budget too.
Thank you. That's about 9.5 when you add both those, the SEEK formula increases.
Yeah.
Which was more than both budgets had actually originally. We had a long conversation in the conference committee. And you bring up a really good point. Teachers aren't state employees, which I honestly didn't realize until I got in this job, because I didn't do a lot with education funding. But they're not. So it's not really up to us to decide who gets raises and where. And then the delicate balance of the CARE law, which really prevents us from giving raises. I mean, 11% sounds really good. If I were the governor, I'd do it too. But practically, it put us in a really strong liability position, because when you start offsetting different counties, as you know, it disproportionately impacts, and now we have a problem. So that was real intentional on our side. And you bring up a very good point about charter schools. There were 2 constitutional amendments passed this session. One requires, number 1 on the ballot, requires you to be a U.S. citizen to vote. Surprisingly, I thought this was kind of an odd thing. Out in the West, there are some states that are deciding if you live in the community, you can vote for local elections and those things without being a U.S. citizen. So this was maybe an effort to make sure that was not an assumption by the state. The second one is for the school choice amendment. And it was also written very specifically. And so it's so interesting. I bet because of the way the Kentucky Constitution is written for common schools, most of the schools we even have, especially in Lexington, would be considered charter schools. We can't call them that because our school definition doesn't allow us to.
Yeah.
But they're very much happening already around. In fact, every state around us has school choice. We're 25th. Only one state above us, which is Vermont, does not have some kind of school choice provision. But I want to be honest about this very specific point. It would allow us to do it in like basically one precinct in Jefferson County if we wanted. So it would not be a blanket school choice across the state. So if it doesn't work in the communities that it's in, we wouldn't put them there. I mean, it's not a blanket amendment. If you read the specific things, the reference points on there, it basically allows us to do it in just one precinct. And I say that because it's not going to fit places sometimes, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So this allows us to have the discussion. We'll see if it passes, what the discussion looks like moving forward. But it could look very different, honestly, in different counties and different communities simply because of what their needs are. It won't be a cookie cutter approach.
Right.
So I think that's actually a good thing. I'll mention we did the Senate confirm Robbie Fletcher as our new Commissioner of Education, since we're talking about it. That was the first time we've ever done that, which was a neat experience to have him kind of talk about his vision for education, having more of a two-way street with those that he represents. And he's actually been a superintendent from Kentucky, so he's got a good perspective on that. And then we have 4 task forces this summer. Every senator sits on interim committees. There's a bunch of them. So we'll continue to do House and Senate work in the regular budget and in regular committee format. But there's 4 specific task forces that they approve, which will be both House and Senate people to work on issues that we'll probably take on next year. One is in education, which is over 75,000, so it probably won't affect Boyle County. It's basically looking at Louisville and Lexington, to be honest, and mostly really Louisville, if I want to be really honest. How they're doing some of the education is just not working. They're spending so much per person, and it's still not getting quite the result they're looking for. The other 3 are pretty interesting. Kentucky Talent Attraction. I don't know, with remote working, believe it or not, you're seeing more and more states kind of say, hey, if you can live wherever you want, come live here. And so that's moving from a recruiting of a company to a recruiting of a person. And so that's kind of a new idea that's been percolating around for a little while. We passed it this year a little bit without money. So that's going to be one task force. If you could live anywhere, why not Danville? I would say why not Danville, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So there's one piece of that. The second one is in housing. So I'll be back on that, which is a housing issue. It's not just a Lexington problem. Housing. I was talking with Jeff the other day, and he said, Amanda, I'm living in Lincoln County because I can't afford to live in Danville anymore, and the housing prices are continuing to grow. So it's happening everywhere. There's no real silver bullet, if you will, for that. I've been working on a task force in Lexington to help do an affordable housing project where we basically had the banks come together and use CRA money to buy land to hold it so that Habitat, some of our affordable housing partners, both public and private, can work together to develop it, which is the first time we've ever tried to do banks buy land instead of developing into a project before. We're hoping that might be a model if it works. So wait and see if it works. But if not, the housing issue is one that the task force is on. And then the other one, the last one is AI in government. And I unfortunately have just been named chairwoman of that task force. I say unfortunately because it is both exciting and terrifying what AI is doing in all spectrums of our life, not to mention government. So this task force will tackle both. A little bit of how state government might be thinking about using tools of AI. Consequential decision making is very different than deciding how to do a better road plan, right? There's tools we use, and there's also, like, we don't want to do in the power grid. We don't necessarily want to deciding who gets health insurance or who gets housing. So that's one piece of it. The other piece is on private rights and privacy and doing some guidelines in education. I also serve on the task force on AI in education, which is fascinating. Again, great tool, but our kindergartners are going to use it differently than our higher ed students. And how do you reference using AI if you've used it in a paper? There are no guidelines for that. Now it used to be you had they had programs where you put your papers through it, and so they would flag, oh, you've cheated. You've used some quotes. Well, now AI is so good, basically you can't keep up. So the teachers are really burdened having to know then exactly your students' capacity and where they are, so they have a good idea of if you're cheating or not, if you will. But that's a lot of responsibility on both sides. So I am excited and a little bit nervous about that task force. But I wanted to let you know kind of what we were doing this summer, and then also just to listen to see what issues that you would like me in particular to be thinking about on your behalf or working with you on so that they're on my radar before next year's session. So I'll ask you all.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
And I think jails and jail funding and because I think we're having to have a real conversation about whether we can continue to house state inmates. We definitely can't continue to house them at under cost because that's just not a winning formula for anybody to do. So I think we need to know if the state wants us to continue to house inmates, then they need to fund it appropriately, or we need to stop housing state inmates. And then I think the other thing is just, and not necessarily my issue, because I like to say I live in the city part of the county, and so I don't have any county roads, but on behalf of my county road magistrates, road funding is
Yes.
a big issue.
Yeah, big issue.
Yeah, let me come back, Senator, to the jails. for a moment here. I'm probably giving you data that you know on the bottom end. The state pays us less than 38 cents a day. We just cut a contract with another county for $65 a day to cover our costs.
$38, not cents, but yeah.
Yeah, excuse me.
I know what he was saying.
It's not much, but it's not quite that.
He's not.
But seriously, look at that contrast of what we successfully negotiated as a fair reimbursement level at $65.
Yeah, it's a big problem. And I was talking to your driller not too long ago about this particular issue because it seems there's almost so many different perspectives on what to do. There's gridlock. And that's really where we are, is that there are certain members of influence in both chambers who feel very strongly this is what we need to do, and they don't agree. And the result is that Boyle puts undue burden on the rest of the state to carry that water while they figure it out. That's not fair. I'll be the first one to admit it. That's just my perception of kind of where we are.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, because from the state's perspective, I can understand the dragging of the feet because it's a great deal for the state budget, but it's a terrible deal for the county's budget.
Yeah. I have a couple things, if you don't mind. And if possible, would you be able to accompany us and maybe set up a meeting for, I'd be happy to go myself and the judge, and maybe another magistrate here to meet with the new KDE director to discuss KSD.
We increased that some, but it wasn't as much as I know.
Well, the ask that we have, and I'm not going to be like Tom and make you drive by, but I can send you the pictures. About 3/4 of that campus is falling in on itself.
It is.
And it's really an unfair burden from the state to make us live like that. Where, I mean, it's in, it's right behind Constitution Square. It's in a very, high visibility area. Just a couple of the buildings you can see where they were, holes in the roofs. And you walk through there, my son goes there. And so, if I'm over on campus, you can kind of walk in and see they're just, there might be homeless people living in there. You would never know. They put up a fence around it or whatever. And I tried working with the governor and with Rocky and sent all this data to them, and it's not going anywhere except they put a little paint on some doors. But that's been it so far. But we could utilize a lot of that space. It wouldn't just go to like building houses or anything like that. We could utilize a lot of things. Judge and I have talked about having a nice pavilion for a permanent farmer's market over there,
sure.
Possibly.
I drove through on Saturday morning. It's popping.
Yeah, if we need space and parking, and so some things like that. But if you could get us a meeting with the new director, yourself, if you'd like to join,
absolutely,
and so we could maybe have an honest discussion. They allowed us to we were the first ask on one piece of property, but the problem is that once.
That's the old historic property, right?
Jacobson Hall,
yeah.
But right next to it used to be another building that was taken down now. It's right next between CVS and the Jacobson Hall. But
parking lot now. Parking lot.
Yeah, it's parking lot right now. And we have hopes that the hospital is actually going to build something new there, which would be great. But once I think KSD realized, or KDE realized they weren't getting the money, and from that sale it was going back into the general fund, they had no desire to talk about future buildings anymore. So that would be wonderful if you could set that up and we could meet. And we had met with Daniel before about maybe coming together in like October with a list of requests.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad you're asking about that.
Senator, next year is the 250th anniversary of this nation. My wife and I were privileged and honored to be at the foot of the Center College campus on Dr. Tom Clark's 100th birthday. And one of his quotes that night was, "Had it not been for the Constitution being signed right here in Danville, we would have ended up Europe West." Now, when you contemplate that and juxtapose with 250th anniversary of this nation, we might not have been a nation. And so anything that you can do to help us to become involved, if you want people involved from this county, I think we can help you in listening, because that was so powerful that our Constitution, not a mile and a half away from here, helped to preserve the fact that other nations had their eye on taking over all of what was to come.
You're right, next we put money in the budget to celebrate that
Yeah.
for Harrisburg, and this year for Harrisburg and for the state next year.
Right.
So that's definitely on, that's not quite on my radar for next year yet, but I will put it on my stuff.
And
make
we will
sure.
help you.
Thank you.
And Senator, I
Yes, ma'am.
am concerned about all the state roads that have trees growing out of them. I mean,
I know.
I'm meeting people and they're in the middle and we're trying to get away from scratching all their vehicles up. The buses tell me they cannot go under them.
I know.
They're just scratching them all the way down. I mean, it's a real concern. And when I called the state, our state road department, they said, well, that machine's been down for like a couple of years. Maybe ask our county guy to see what he could do to help us. Roger, thank you. So, but it's
Feel free to jump in.
It's really
It's a
awkward
state
for
business.
Public Works to jump
Yes,
in. The
thank
state
You were
will
talking back to me.
probably shut us down from doing that. I mean, we need them to maintain.
We need
If
them
they-
to do it.
They
I mean,
need
it's
leasing
bad.
equipment, fine.
Right, I mean, it's really bad.
Well, the state equipment has been broke down for 3 years, and, you know,
That's
they
what they told
haven't,
me.
and they've got behind on every road in the county. And, you know,
Penny
every
wise,
time I
pound
talk to
foolish.
them, well, it's broke down, or,
Yeah.
or something's wrong with it, you know, and I'm like, well, can you request for a backup or
Right.
something? So,
Is that through District 7 or is that?
District 7, yes.
Okay.
It's really severe.
And then there for years, they went with, I'm not trying to step out of line here.
No, please.
For years, they went with sharing it with Mercer County and Anderson County. So, then it seemed like every time they got their part of it, then it broke down.
For us.
Yeah, so I don't know my solution would be that they would have a new piece of equipment and each county would have a new piece of equipment
Right.
instead of sharing it with
Right.
everybody.
Right, I mean, it's a really safety issue.
It is a
Yeah,
safety
and it's
issue.
got-
It
I know that.
is. It's very, you have school buses that can't get under bridges. That's pretty bad.
Master Sleeper, I believe you're the only one that hasn't spoken. Do you have any
He's a city
comments?
boy too.
Yeah, I'll echo what's been said already.
Okay, all right.
I will ask, I mean, when you were talking about task force,
Mhm.
and this is a hard one to try to tackle, but we've got to do something. Maybe at the state level, seeing speeding. If what other states are doing. I mean, I know it's a problem everywhere, and the easy solution is talk to your friends and family and tell them to stop speeding, but.
And running red lights.
And running red lights,
I'm
but.
running red light, I'm with you.
Yeah, but that's apparently not the way we're gonna go. It's, so I don't know if there's any sort of task force or studies that can be done on how we can better, change roads or whatever to help with speeding, because I think that's probably one of our biggest complaints that we get is, we have we have a great sheriff's office, but, there's only, 10 of y'all out on the roads that, and we can't be all over the county, and they can't just sit there. They'll, in downtimes, they're wonderful, they will, if it's a high speeding area or whatever, they'll go out there and do it, but, I think maybe we try to have some sort of think tank on, okay,
Sure.
is there any other states that are doing something that seems to work at least stop a little bit?
I thought potholes were our speed reduction plan.
That's not a bad idea, but, you're not wrong.
If you keep speeding, you're
And
gonna take the
Senator, I
bottom
will
off
put
the
in a
car.
pitch for my colleague over on the corner, Magistrate Cullen. 52 has to be done right. It is a.
It's in the
death trap.
budget.
Yeah, I
Yep.
understand, but some things lag, as we found out about equipment, but 52 is critical to be done correctly.
And thank you for getting that in there, and thank you for your work to circumvent other things that we're trying to
Yeah.
take it over.
You're welcome, and I think Daniel and I have tried really hard to make sure we're on the same page, and we've kind of said, hey, well, if the county and city get together, we're for it, and if they can't, we're not picking sides.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's
Right.
good. And that goes to the judge's credit too on really understanding how important 52 is, and that anything else would pretty much push 52 back another 5-6 years. So that was.
I'll mention it again, I'll Jim Gray and I actually have a call coming up here shortly about different issues, so I will mention all three of these things.
Wonderful.
And just put them on his radar and find out what the heck's wrong with the equipment.
Right.
I think your idea of having one in each county would be a given. I don't honestly know how much equipment they have. I haven't gone down the details that far, but I'm happy to have a conversation for sure.
Yeah.
Especially with trees and storms. I mean, you can just tell, even driving up here, I was coming from the south end, and it was, you're driving over lots of, not just potholes, but trees down, and those are just as bad. And I will say on the speeder thing, I would love to have red light cameras. The caucus just hates accountability like that. They just don't, they think it's Big Brother. And I get it, but in Fayette County in particular, red light speeding is the #1 death accidents for our county, and it's
I saw one this
simply
morning.
because they just go, they treat them as like optional. I don't understand.
Yeah.
That's what happens. And my son's now driving, so now I have a different take.
As far as red lights go, and I've kind of talked, Dwayne, the old engineer, and I talked about this before to try to get it. Other states actually have a delay from red to green. We don't. It's like
No, it's immediate.
You know, it's like we're dropping the hammer and we're going to drag race. It's like red to green, and so especially out on we've got on the bypass, 2168 where 127 comes together. It goes. People don't even realize that light's there because they've gone so long without a light that they forget the light's there, and they'll just blow through it. Like I stop and I wait to make sure everyone's stopped, and then I'll get some honks from behind me, but I've almost been hit several times.
That's it. You have to wait and be thinking about it.
But those are like little things that you kind of
I'll
look at. They're like, hey, can we make a delay in when it goes from red to green to help?
Sure.
So.
I'll put that on there. And the super speeder bill, we actually passed it. It's been filed several times in the Senate. And the goal behind that, the super speeder is what he calls it, is that if you're going 20 over, it's a pretty massive fine.
Good.
And it was one of those things that tried to get attached to a bill, and long story short, it didn't pass because they kind of feel like he should run it as his own bill. Unfortunately, the House isn't fond of this particular senator, so he keeps trying to pass it, and they keep stopping it. That's just the truth. Because I think it's a good bill, and it's if you can't possibly be everywhere, you just can't be as an enforcement. And so how do you think about other ways to do that? Well, you make the big penalties for high super speeder issues, and that would help some. That's coming back. He promised to do it again this year, so hopefully that might do some. That doesn't stop your small roads, of course, but maybe if you just have some enforcement in the high ones, it'll kind of trickle down.
And along those lines, thank you for the work you did on the officer's piece of legislation, where when an officer has someone pulled over the side, and I'm really speaking to those who will watch this and watching it now, when an officer has someone pulled over at the side of the road, you must go to the inner lane on a 4-lane highway now, because of the number of deaths nationwide of officers who are hit, whether they're helping change a tire, whether they're giving a ticket. And really, it's a good practice for anyone pulling to the side of the road to get over in the fast lane while you're approaching and until you're far past it. There's a $300 fine, I understand, immediately. There are no questions asked if you don't abide by that new statute. Is that in July 15 or is that in now?
No, it starts, I think that's July 15th. So I want to give people time to educate on what that meant. I mean, now cars are so quiet and they go so fast, and you can go pretty fast now without realizing you're going fast, which I think is part of the issue. And people will drive quickly and they don't have time to correct, and you've got certainly not just officers pulling over, but our workers who are working on the roads.
And a bill for the future. Do what Ohio does and what South Carolina and several other states, trucks to the slow lane. That causes a lot of accidents too, especially in the hills when you go into South Carolina. We just come back from a trip there. Very good safety piece of legislation.
Sounds like we need a bill to fix stupid.
One of my good friends was an ER doctor, and he said, you can't fix stupid.
I know, so if you can legislate that out, we'll be in good shape.
Senator, we want to be respectful of your time. I do have one small infrastructure request. Out on our northeast side with Gary County, we need something to connect 34 with our bypass. And so this last session, there was a connector road that was submitted, but we weren't totally on board with that. We do, however, have Goggin Lane, which pretty much joins 34. So in the future, if there's some way that we can work out a connector road by using Goggin Lane, crossing over, getting to our bypass, due to the, and I can't remember the name of it, the turnaround thing on the bypass, the new...
The arc cuts?
Yeah, the arc cuts. Due to that, a lot of people have stopped using the old Sanford Road, and they're coming in on Ghost Pike, which is way too narrow for all the traffic that it's now getting. And there's a new subdivision also being built off of Ghost Pike, off Baughman Avenue, that is going to add more and more traffic as we go forward in the future. So anything that we can do to get funding to go toward a bypass road that we might be able to use, or connector road to use, Highway 52. Of course, that would mean Highway 52 would have to be widened. We've already got some safety mechanisms going on there for shoulders and curves, I believe, but that's just an area that has not had any attention at all on that side. So anything going forward that we can do to get something going with that would be very much appreciated. Yeah.
Duly noted.
Yeah, and then we have major structural damage in our courthouse bell tower. And so right now we are way down on the list for getting a new facility. We are having the, what are they called, Julie?
We're having an assessment.
Yeah, assessment.
AOC did assessments and they ranked every courthouse that wasn't new. So we're having that firm come back and use the same criteria as they did 3 or 4 years ago. Now that this is a problem and the roof is collapsed, they can see where we would rank
now.
And we might need your help on
so
getting
you
this
help
up.
moving us up the list.
Well, roof coming down, we might
Right into the
well, it would be right
over
the
the
circuit
judges.
courtroom. Yeah, the circuit courtroom. And
It's
yeah.
going to displace our circuit courtroom, and we
Yeah.
can't really put it in our district because we're running court there too, and go to Mercer County and conduct court there, you know, especially with jury trials and all that. So it's going to be a big
It's going to be a big
ordeal,
issue.
and it's going to cost a lot of money to fix them, and hopefully we can get, you know, put up there on the
Emergency
list.
money.
Yeah. That
Priority
was
list.
done, the current list was done several years ago.
Yeah, so we were 29.
Yeah, we're way down.
Out of 34.
And then every time if we, you know, try to fix something, then that drops us further down the list because we've made improvements. So right now we're not doing anything. We're praying that the roof don't fall.
Luckily it's not windy around here.
Well, I came uptown yesterday afternoon and I said, well, the bell tower's still standing, so that's a good sign.
Well, we should probably do more than pray. Let me investigate that a little
Okay.
bit
All
and
right.
figure out. So they're coming back already scheduled.
Yes.
Yeah, we can
Yes.
do some
Okay, so
emergency funds on that
Let
topic.
me know when they finish this
Okay,
the assessment.
okay.
So then I can follow up with you
All right.
about where you are.
Because we had all the judges meet, the circuit
Yeah.
judge, the
Yeah.
county court judge, and it's a mess.
It's a mess.
It's going to be
Yeah.
a mess.
All right.
But thank you.
Thank you so much
You're
for
so
coming in.
Thank you for
welcome.
coming. We are delighted to have you. And is there any more questions or comments?
Brass Band Festival coming up this
I
weekend.
know. I'm so excited. My daughter turns 13 June 1st. She shares the birthday with Kentucky.
Awesome.
So she was like, Mom, are we going down to the festival? I was like, no, we will spend your 13th
Oh.
celebrating you.
All right.
That's the plan. So I missed this year, but it's on my calendar.
All right.
Would it be okay
Come
for
down
us to
Friday
get a
night.
group photo
Of
while
course.
you're here?
Of course. And you all have my phone number and email, so please, if you think of other things, don't
Yes.
hesitate to.
There we go. We got a cut through.
You go around.
We got an access road.
You take care of the road around.
Jar my teeth with the pothole.
Yes.
Oh, please.
Your stuff so it doesn't time out.
We need to squeeze in.
Yes, that's right. I'm already calling
All right. Good.
Squeeze in, Tom.
Huh?
Stand my tiptoes.
All right, Jason, you need to go to the right.
I am always on the right.
You need to go clear over like between Trilly and Paula. I cannot see you.
No, it's
There
not
you
the
go.
worst thing.
Oh, that's perfect.
I'm going to stand still.
Okay, ready? Well, Amanda? There we go. Okay, one more. All right, 1,
2, 3.
Thank you.
All
All right, thank you, thank you.
Appreciate you being here. Nice to see you. Excuse me, Brennan.
You are so fantastic for a first-term senator. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate you.
Very much.
Glad to see you
Nice
guys.
to see you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
See you.
It's always
Back,
nice
see
to
you
have
sometime.
our state people in our audience, so. Thank you and have a great week.
Yes, ma'am, y'all do.
Drive care.
Okay, Deputy Director Bryant, I am so sorry, but I skipped you in the agenda and I didn't even know it. I check marked your name and went right on, so I don't know. But, come on up.
He's used to it.
My apologies. You probably would like to just got up and went on earlier, wouldn't you? All right, tell us what we got.
So we had a visit from our pen care rep, so was our last ambulance, and he said that he was approached by another county looking for a used ambulance, and they don't sell used ambulances. And we're getting ready to surplus a good one, and it's a 2017 Chevy Express van type, and the motor had been replaced at 100,000 miles, so it's got 160,000 on it now, and it's a gasoline engine, and it's really just ready to go. So he gave me the number, and I called Bath County and talked to them, and I just threw a number of $20,000 out there, and they are very interested and want to come drive it this week. Last time we surplused, and I think we got about anywhere from $4,000 to $6,000 out of them. And you know, it's a county in need, and I would rather see it go to another service and be used for what it's made for than, you know, than a camper.
Become an ice cream truck or something.
Yeah. But,
With bells and whistles.
I didn't know if we had to vote or if y'all had to vote to sell it instead of surplus it, or will it work?
You gotta read that.
Oh.
Okay.
You gotta read that.
Okay, 2017 Chevrolet Express ambulance has been retired. It was used as an operational ambulance by Boyle County EMS, but is no longer used due to Boyle County EMS upgrading to a more advanced ambulance. While operational, the ambulance, which has been sitting in our parking lot for over 6 months, is of no value to the Boyle County EMS. Bath County EMS has one working ambulance, has offered $20,000 to Boyle County Fiscal Court. The last ambulance disposed garnished $6,000 to the county as scrap metal. It is in the best interest of Boyle County taxpayers to declare said ambulance surplus, and we ask for a motion to sell the ambulance to Bath County for $20,000. Per KRS 67.082, paragraph 4, paragraph A, the Boyle County Fiscal Court desires to transfer said ambulance with compensation to Bath County EMS, a governmental agency. Well, in order to declare it as surplus, don't we have to take bids?
No, you can transfer, Chris looked it up, you can transfer it to another governmental agency. That's allowable.
But it still has to be declared surplus, or can you just transfer it straight out?
Right.
Well, this says declare it as surplus.
It is surplus to us, and you're giving us permission to transfer it to another governmental entity.
We'll make the motion, we allow
Yeah,
EMS
sorry.
to sell surplus the vehicle
Okay.
for the amount that they get.
A second.
All right, we have a motion by Magistrate Cullen, a second by Magistrate Bodner. Any discussion on selling the ambulance to Bath County? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. Very good.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you very much.
Leave.
You're worth waiting for.
I got a special call from a constituent about her 95-year-old mother. You guys got the highest praise, so pass that on to everybody in EMS. I mean, she went out of her way to call me over the weekend, over a holiday weekend. So
That's great. We appreciate it. They do an awesome job, and every one of them.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, I appreciate it. Okay, next is medical marijuana discussion, and I passed out the handout from KECO.
There's our
In
county
case
attorney on this one.
some of you all, well, where is he? So this was passed by Senate Bill 47, legalizing the use of medical cannabis and establishing a framework for state licensure of cannabis businesses such as dispensaries, cultivators, processors, producers, and safety compliance facilities in the Commonwealth, effective January 1, 2025. So our key dates are amended by House Bill 829. State law allows cabinet to issue licenses for cannabis operations effective July 1, 2024. Counties and cities can pass an ordinance by December 31st, 2024. Counties and cities should consider making their decision regarding any prohibition, regulation, or zoning of cannabis businesses by June 30th. These are county or city may pass an ordinance to prohibit cannabis businesses' operations in its territory. There's a sample ordinance.
So it sounds like what we have to do is either take no action, which will allow it.
Yes.
Pass an ordinance to prohibit it. Pass a resolution to put the matter of cannabis operations to a public vote.
Yes.
Or place restrictions and or collect fees related to cannabis operations within the city or county.
Right. So, just here to see what the pleasure of the court is.
I personally say that we take no action and allow it to happen. The only thing we'll probably have to do is put together some sort of ordinance regulating, you know, how we collect fees or whatever we can do. But it sounds like there's a sample ordinance in here as well. So, I mean, if need be, I can make a motion that we take no action.
Okay.
You do want to collect fees.
Yeah.
And we do want to collect fees, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that, those comments. I think that I'm excited that it's being allowed and is useful and helpful for a lot of people. And, but I do think there needs to be fees attached.
Yes, and just so everyone's aware, most of us are all educated on this. This is not to allow smoking
right
of it. It is you're just ingested. But the types of cannabis businesses, I think it's important that we. It's not just going to be shops on there. There's cultivators, processor, producer, a safety compliance facility, and dispensary. So those are going to be all the ones that we are going to allow for this.
So if we take no action, then medical cannabis businesses would be allowed to operate in our county or city as early as this year, once they are licensed with the state.
It's January 1st.
January 1, 2025.
Correct.
And we may not be
This
one
budget
of
year.
the 12 or 14 entities chosen.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor to take no action and allow businesses to operate once they are licensed by the state. Is there a second?
Well, part of that was also
And to collect fees.
and to set up an ordinance outlining how we'll collect fees.
So that's kind of taking action then.
Huh?
We're sort of taking action, you know, not to prohibit them from coming, but we're gonna, you know, take action as far as.
Do you want two different motions then?
Well, because it says we can place restrictions and or collect fees related. So is that two separate things?
Do you want two motions then? Would that be better?
Yes.
All right, so first motion is take no action.
Take no action. Is there a second? Second by Magistrate Gay.
As far as operation.
Correct.
Any discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Any opposed, no. Motion carries.
Second motion is that we start working on an ordinance which will regulate and collect fees.
Okay.
Or collect fees, I should just say.
Okay, I have a motion to work on an ordinance to regulate and collect fees once the business is established within the city and county. Is there a second?
Second.
Woo! Popular today. I think I heard Measure Sleeper first.
There you go.
All right, second by Measure Sleeper. Any discussion on that motion?
I'd just like to suggest,
Wait, we got discussion.
I'd just like to suggest that for, in a future meeting rather soon, that we have the health department come in and comment, and perhaps Dr. Grant come in and talk, because there have been abuses in other states, severe abuses, and the more we're educated about it on the front end, the more we can talk to our constituents about the positions we're taking.
Okay.
So do you want to have
So
an
noted.
ordinance for the first meeting in June to look at?
Be good.
Second
And
reading
and
by
Keiko
third.
has
Okay,
plenty
does that
of background information.
Well,
if we need.
they have a sample ordinance that we can just, print out and use, okay? Any other discussion on that motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. You have us an ordinance?
Right, there's
Sample.
I'll work on it.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Okay, before we start our fiscal court budget discussion, I want to ask Roger and Brian if you all have anything you want to report storm-wise.
Go ahead, Brian.
Such a gentleman.
Not to put you on the spot, but I just thought maybe you might have something you want to.
I can look with you.
No, I think how, we're not unlike a lot of other counties. We don't have, per se, designated storm shelters. Most counties do not. I think the plan we've used for the last month and a half, 2 months, I think it's going to probably work pretty well going forward. And that being opening the courthouse, thanks to the sheriff's office, they've been real diligent about coming up, having somebody here for the duration of the storm. Same thing with Junction City Hall and Parable City Hall.
Portland Community Center.
Yes, I mean, those are all good places. We haven't had any problem at all with getting someone up there. It seems like, in fact, as we went on, it's gotten a little better as far as getting people that are ready to go open up. And it's not hard to go up and open up, and someone shows up, they've got a safe place to stay.
So you think that's going to be standard going forward?
I think so.
Okay.
I think we've got a pretty good deal now with Parable and Junction.
Right.
The fire departments are coming down, opening up. They can still operate if they have a call.
Did we have Forkland open?
Portland was open.
Oh, was it? Okay,
Yeah.
good, didn't know that.
Yeah.
Good deal.
They had a festival out of it too.
Yeah.
That's what I love about Portland.
So big.
They'll turn anything into a festival.
They opened the basement up.
Good, okay, good.
For the,
Do you think that'll be the way it is going forward?
well,
Because we can just make a standard post, every time we have severe weather and.
well, talking to Matthew Ellis and Lynn and them. Lynn's one who went and opened it up.
Okay.
So,
Very good.
on those situations,
That's the good
we
news.
could, can do that.
Yeah, very good. Okay, awesome.
Other than that, it's looking like, of course, our area manager reaches out to us as far as damage, and I spoke with Roger, out with them. I think we were about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning there. And had spoke with Danville to just kind of keep track, just for accountability's sake, any type of debris removal or extra man hours that were worked because of the storm. I honestly don't think we're going to be anywhere near a threshold at all. So, which honestly is a good thing.
Good thing.
I mean, the less damage we can take, we're all about that.
Yeah. Okay.
But I would like to commend, Roger and all his guys.
Absolutely.
And the city of Danville. I mean, there for a little while, it was pretty chaotic.
Yes.
Nothing out of the ordinary, nothing really major, but a lot of trees on individual houses with, individual services, and of course, some wider spread power outages later on. We still have about 250 customers, KU, that are still without power. I think all of Enter County is back up, so.
We have some phone, Verizon, I know is out.
We've got phone lines down everywhere, you
Yeah.
know, and pretty much every county does, but they've done it, you know, in KU and Enter County, we need to kind of praise them too. I know they're the first guys that take the beating from, and I know it's really inconvenient to be without power, but those guys have worked nonstop,
Yeah.
you know, since the storm started,
Yeah.
so they do a really good job.
Well, thank you to both of you all, because I know it's a 24-hour around the clock when these things happen, so appreciate both of you all, and Roger, your department and your people, so.
They done a good job.
Yes.
Great job.
Opened all the roads up really fast.
Well, and the problem was, you know, when you get spread out, you know, one certain area, you know, it's, you know, everybody gets focused on it, but when you got widespread, you know, it's hard when you start getting phone calls. White's Road, then you Pope Road,
Yeah.
you know.
From one end of the county to the other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You really find out who Roger's favorites are.
Yeah.
Thank
you, Roger.
Priority.
Well, I don't know who's got the most county roads in there.
Roger's like, I got a new bridge out of it, so I
Or who whines the most, Roger, who whines?
That's it. That's it.
But, yeah, but we do
Anyway.
appreciate you all
Yeah.
being there for us and keeping us
Well.
informed on what's going on, so.
Right.
Are they heading over to my way? They were.
They're headed that way today. Well, I got two different crews, one going east, one going west, and we're just trying to clean up, you know, stuff, and so we'll see how today works out.
Sorry, Jamie took most of your time, but.
Yeah, that's
I know, I beat him up with work in my district.
But, yeah, we get back on mowing, you know, we're a little bit behind on mowing, so we're, you know, just is what it is.
Rain's the last
Yeah,
14 days, kind of hard to get.
And it is, and it's raining every day and carrying on, it's hard to get going.
So I heard 2 houses had trees on them. Do you know if there was any more than 2?
There
Those
were
were in-
there were several houses that
That had trees on them, okay.
You know, I mean, nothing really significant as far as structural damage. I mean, just, you know, it got pretty windy.
Yeah,
a
it
couple
was
times.
pretty wicked there for a little bit.
At the
Boone
end
Trail
of-
had a pretty significant damage on there,
Right.
the house on Boone Trail.
At the end of the cross pipe, that is there any power outage from that? I mean, it's all laying
just the
everywhere.
phone.
That was actually just
Allen
off phone
Springs or
lines.
Parkville?
That's,
Allen Springs cross pipe,
Mhm.
yeah.
yeah, those were broke 2 poles.
Yeah,
pulled
2
that
poles
over.
are broken and these huge trees laying there.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I could see the power, I mean, the
Line.
telephone lines, but I thought,
Yeah,
is there any power
Roger and
out?
we had a meeting there for 2 hours.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah,
I would say.
because that thing was full of poison ivy. And,
Oh, no.
I'm not, yeah, I'd be in the hospital.
And you know, I've been saying that there's so much trees, we need to get rid of some of that trees there because it's gonna, well, it's a lot gone
That one is gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big one, yeah.
Did we ever get a report on the highest wind gusts we got in Boyle County?
That is nothing verified, but, you know, 75 to 80.
There were trees on Tuggle, and the one in my front yard were just broken off at the ground. I mean,
Yeah.
so that
Yes.
was,
It was
you say, how much?
75.
Yeah.
Works Run, that's probably about, that strip through there, that's about the worst I've seen as far as damaging buildings and, you know, trees and stuff.
You could watch the trees just bend.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, it really
I
is.
hadn't heard it.
We-
Mercer.
We're still pretty lucky. We probably should have had way more trees than we did.
Yeah,
You
amazing.
know, March 3rd last year kind of helped us out a little bit with that, I think. So
Yep.
they got a lot of them that were ready to go.
Got me a free trampoline too, wasn't it?
Well, thank you guys, appreciate both of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Judge,
Okay.
one quick question.
Yes.
Can I just ask, before we get into the budget thing, I wanted to ask Rick, I hate to put you on the spot since you've been put on the spot so many times, but I think this is important to you too. For the last couple weeks, there's been a couple pictures online about a broken slide at, I believe it's Millennium, where there's like a big crack in the slide and somebody's gonna cut themselves real bad. It's my understanding that Tommy and Public Parks and Rec are aware of it, but they've not closed it down, they've not taken it apart, they're just, I guess, waiting for pieces to come in maybe to fix it. So I didn't know if maybe if you could put some pressure on them to at least rope it off so that way people don't go down it anymore. That'd be helpful.
I could certainly do this. First I've heard of it, so.
I'll send you
I
a
can certainly
picture of
inquire.
it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that'd be great.
Is it in Millennium Park or
Sir.
in?
Yeah, it's at the main playground there in
The slide,
central-
it's
the
a
central
slide, yeah.
playground.
Yeah, it should be quarantined off.
Thank you. Okay, y'all put your seatbelts on. Here we go. First reading of the 24-25 fiscal court budget. And first, I want to say thank you to the team that has coordinated this effort in getting this budget ready for first reading. Several people involved. Julie has worked endlessly on getting all the corrections, and then more corrections, and then some more corrections, and then even this morning another correction. So I want to thank Julie very much for doing this, and all the other team that has participated and helped talk with department heads and get this budget prepared. So.
Thank you, sir.
Julie, I'm gonna turn it over to
Okay.
you,
I'm
and
kinda
you
scared.
roll with it.
First thing, I just kind of want to explain the process. We had to really figure out where we were starting from. There was transfers that we had to figure out, budget amendments, and so that Elena and Shannon, they really helped us figure out the starting point, because I think what was happening is you were budgeting from numbers that weren't exactly the full true numbers. So that's what we did first. We went in and worked through all the roadmap of all these transfers, and I mean, we had big spreadsheets with this much was taken out, and this much was put in, and where does this go? And so we knew what the true year-to-date was, because I felt like that's where we need to start at, is the year-to-date as of May 15th, I think is where we, was our last report. So everything that you see has really come from May 15th to today, okay? So I don't know, I'm certainly not a treasurer material here, so please help me if you want to start and go through the revenue first. Is that, the revenue, if the revenue's wrong, that's where you have to do budget amendments, which requires ordinances and advertising. So I really tried to make sure I had the revenue right. And I did find some revenue on Thursday last week, and then I found some expenses on Saturday.
So my first question coming out, the highlighted things, do you want to explain what those are?
Yes.
Some that don't have amounts?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know that the AOC space capital projects, I don't know of anything coming in from AOC. My question was, we took the courthouse cupola out of the budget and put it into capital. So if we are going to do that, I need to put a number in there of 52.8%. So, yeah. So that's there as a reminder, placeholder, is if you all decide, yes, let's move that, we're going to take the clock tower out of capital, our reserves, then I'll put a number there. Okay.
Otherwise, it's just going to stay in reserves
Well, the
when we
clock,
need it.
if we do anything to the clock tower, that's gonna jeopardize.
Yes, I know what you're thinking.
So let's
Yeah.
not.
Well, I don't understand what it's gonna jeopardize.
Well,
The budget.
it'll jeopardize our ranking.
So you're for reserve?
Our rank.
Yeah, keep it in capital.
I'm for not doing it.
Yeah.
We're gonna leave it in reserve.
Leave it in reserve that way, because if we improve it, that's gonna mess up with us getting a new building or getting whatever, we're gonna get dropped down on the list.
I've got to go on public record then and say that we had an admonition from one of the engineers that it needs to be done. We cannot afford what would happen if it collapsed and someone were underneath it.
That's why we have insurance.
Well, the reports actually didn't.
It said no imminent danger.
Yes, correct.
So, I was gonna say that.
That was the structural engineer report.
Yes, two structural engineer reports.
Yep.
Okay, so.
So I basically took the revenue year-to-date and went through and budgeted based on what we've collected year-to-date or money that we knew was coming in the fourth quarter. There's really nothing here on the first page that I think is, I have Angie's hazardous waste grant in here. The money market interest, I did put that in the general fund instead of putting it back into the money market. Second page, I did up the occupational net profits per our meeting in Paravel, our workshop. The money market, that one I'm gonna plug that number in the day I send it to Frankfurt. So that will be the most update. So I don't know when they sweep the account for monthly interest, so that's that. The one question I have here is if you look about halfway down on the second page, reimbursement for the EMA salary of $29,921. Not sure that's going to come in. We're still working on that, but that may, I guess if it doesn't come in, we're still going to pay the full amount.
Is that the one where you've been querying about that since January?
Yes. No,
Rick?
Yes.
Are you aware of that?
Six, I'm sorry.
Explain it, please, Julie.
Rick's gonna stop coming to our meetings. Rick, we got an extra seat up here for you.
Now, what's been going on is we've been working on a medical services agreement, and one of those pieces was to get Dr. Grant as the medical director for the city police and fire, which is required by KRS, okay? The second piece of that was the siren management, so that Bryant had the legal authority to repair sirens in the city or county. And another piece was to go back to the practice of sharing the salary of the emergency management director. I think David Milliron sees that sharing of salaries, and,
Okay.
and we're trying to get that back.
Okay.
Not been successful so far. So
And
I have it in the budget, but I don't know whether
Do you know
that's
if it's been discussed for your all's budget or not? Okay.
I don't know of any.
Okay.
And
Okay.
Julie, am I correct that it's required by statute?
Not the medical director,
Okay.
not the emergency management.
Certainly.
Medical director is.
What percentage of our ambulance runs are from the city versus
No,
county?
the EMA, Bryant.
I mean EMA, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Bryant.
Yeah, EMA.
Right. Let's see, what else? Sure.
We're gonna fill in a number, a line item number for that medical director, right? Okay.
I have medical director, Earl did say is going to be funded.
Okay, so we just need a fund number, line number.
Yes, I need a fund number.
Okay.
And then the vehicle rental tax that we passed, I plugged in $1,000, I have no idea. But it's better to have something in there. We
Yeah.
can amend it with up the revenue, but we don't have to do a
I'm
budget.
seeing
amendment.
more of them on the road, I'm just telling you.
Yeah. Okay, so Public Works, I just took the numbers from the state on road funding, and the prior year carryover at the bottom of the page is about what's gonna be in that account at the end of the month. And then, detention center, I did meet with the jail. The budget that you passed in April was not an accurate budget. So we went through it based on the numbers that our report showed after we cleaned everything up. So we did make some amendments to the jail budget, and this is a budget that reflects truly where we were as of May 15th. LGEA money is, we have an extraordinarily high prior year carryover because there was a check we found that had not been deposited. We're hoping that check comes in before the end of the month. If it does not come in,
Been requested.
it's been requested. We're hopeful it'll come in by June 30th. So that would attribute to a higher carryover.
Thank you, Shannon.
Well, let's see, Paravel TAP grant, E911 receipts. I met with Lee about that. We're pretty confident about that number. Health insurance, Shannon and I worked on that. She was a dream on getting those numbers together.
Now the opioid settlement money, that's just an approximation of what we think we're gonna get, or is that confirmed amount?
That's approximate based on what we're seeing in the reports we're getting.
Okay.
The carryover, no money that I can see has been transferred over to help pay for Terry's salary. So if we want to do that this year, then that carryover would go down, and probably we'll ask for that in June.
That's how we agreed to pay for
Right,
Terry, so it
right.
needs to go over.
Yeah. Okay. So
Where do you see that at?
Is that your recollection too, Jamie? That we agreed to pay for Terry out of the opioid
really
settlement?
last revenue page.
Okay,
Opioid fund descriptions.
gotcha.
ARPA ARPA, the fund balance right now is $463,591.48. The majority of that goes to Parksville Water District. You will see on the page, the next to last page of the budget at the bottom, I have an interfund transfer amount of $115,000. There's a possibility that we can sweep some money into ARPA to cover some errors in how the money was paid out, and then transfer everything under lost revenue. So I put that in there just to save us from doing an amendment, but it looks like that might be the case, that we can pay some things back that weren't quite right and then sweep it back over later and do that. So I have your revenue minus the bonding and all that good stuff at $34,999,380.94.
The only other question I would have on here that, I mean, we'll probably have to do it anyway, is depending on the medical marijuana piece.
Yes, I have a note here, cannabis fees, that I'm gonna have to add a line.
Right.
I don't know if there's gonna be a fund code for that, so I'll have to call DLG and see on that, how we do that.
All right.
I have some notes.
Just real quick,
Yes.
back to the, some of our major revenue.
Yes.
As far as, I think it's important just for everybody to know and understand, Julie referenced that we upped it, but we upped them, but they're still conservative
Yes.
numbers as far as the revenue side goes.
You talking about occupational tax?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the revenue is gonna come in quite a bit more than that this year, and historically has as well.
Yeah, these numbers are about where we were, and they hadn't gotten this past filing all the way in because of everything we've been doing. So your revenue is going to be higher than this year, and I feel like it's only growing, it's growing every year, so.
The new technology
will help us
make a lot
Yeah,
of
so it's, obviously good budget practice, but I just wanted to make sure everybody recognizes that these are conservative revenue numbers.
Because it's considerably higher than it was last year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Our revenue has been increasing each year.
Yeah, it's obvious that businesses are coming here and they're growing, and they're adding more employees because our revenue is up. And
That smile on JJ's face right there.
You're working. All right, so the expenses, I guess I'll just kind of go through these and stop me if you have questions, okay? So for the judge executive category, there is nothing in here that is extraordinary that we haven't talked about. The county attorney, I did, there is a reimbursement practice that we're doing with one of the assistant attorneys, and that had not been reflected in the budget, so the number might seem a little higher, but there was some revenue for $10,000 that he reimburses us. So just to point that out. County clerk salaries, sheriff salaries, there are 3 sheriff detectives deputies that we pay for. So if you look at the sheriff section, the 3rd line down, $160,000, those are the 3 that we added last year. And they do not reimburse us for those, so. Let's see. I did up the sheriff vehicle parts to $45,000 and the maintenance to $14,000. Last year it was $35,000 for parts, and they were at $10,000 for repair and maintenance. So since we have new vehicles, I didn't feel like I needed to go over 14, but obviously there's a lot of wear and tear there.
Can't we get them some e-bikes?
Ching ching.
That'd be cool. You deliver that message.
Some horses.
Yeah, there you go.
Mounted sheriff.
Mounted patrol.
Yeah.
Sheriff's already got the hat for it. So.
Yeah.
Under the corner, the major ask and fund is a new chase vehicle, which I split among 3 departments. So you'll see the $23,000 there. He also asked for some filing cabinets that are fireproof, and I put those under office supplies. Magistrate, I added the last item, and I gotta get a code for that, is the online ordinances. We were able to get that in the budget this year. Next page, I did up the treasurer's salary significantly because I do think we've talked about the need for that. Human resources, the ask there at the very bottom of their section is $62,500, and that is for the HR software that Steve has found. And then I took part of that Fiscalsoft, 12,500, that's the payroll piece, and put it in here instead of under the treasurer's category.
But then we'll see a decrease in the Chronos that we won't be paying, right?
We hope so.
That's
We
replacement.
hope so. Yeah, all right. Planning and zoning, I'm just kind of skipping the election. There's the fall election, and then we don't have an election in the spring, so that's fantastic for us. Planning and zoning is last year's plus a cost of living increase of 30%.
Did you skip tax admin?
I did.
Okay.
Let's go back. Let's see.
Software's on there.
It is on there, yes. And because we're going to implement this later in the year, it's probably not going to be even starting until December. I don't think we need to budget that full amount because it's going to take a while to get this going. So the 115 should cover
Wonderful.
everything.
Good old law library.
Yeah. Airport contribution, I carried over all but $3,000 of what they had not used from previous years, and I needed to make some cuts to fund some of our department things, so the chances of them using that is probably slim, but...
Well, it's going to be used, but...
You think?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'll just give you an example. You know, I'm based out of Somerset. The city of Somerset, for that airport they have, gives $150,000 a year, just the city. The county gives, I think, less than that. So this is a testament of how well our airport board works and what they do. I mean, for them, and all they're asking this money for is for matches for money that they've gotten from the FAA, the federal government. And they're going to be doing some big things out there. And so if they ask for it, they utilize it. They just, the grant hadn't come through that they needed, which is why we're carrying it.
Okay. Well, if you think I need to put that 3 in, I'll once we get through this and figure out what we're adding and taking away, I'll make that adjustment if you all want me to. Danville Boyle County Development Council, I have it $300,000. The EDA, I have it $225,000. I have their operating appropriation at $25,000 and TransNav incentives at $12,000. So we're putting in $622,200 into economic development this year, which may be pretty significant for the county. It's a good number.
We're getting to, that's
Yeah, we're getting there.
where we need to be, or
Yeah.
we're gaining
Well,
on it.
Yeah. So.
You know, I pushed back on Jamie on giving the extra, but I mean, as you heard on the revenue side, more revenue's coming in.
Yes.
And so it's,
Yeah.
I conceded.
The courthouse section, some of the highlights.
What's community development? Is that just?
That's our sponsorship fund.
Got it.
Sorry. The courthouse, you'll see if you slide down there, $110,000 for repair and maintenance. Most of that is for the bathrooms on the first floor, which came in at somewhere around 94,000 somewhere.
So
around
we
there.
did contract, we have contract?
We have a bid.
We have a bid.
We have a bid. And then to replace ceiling tiles that are, damaged and get damaged by water and little things like that. You'll notice janitorial there is $30,000, and I want to point out that AOC pays a portion of that, so that their section has janitorial. Repair and maintenance of grounds, we have $80,000 on the next page, and that is partially to pave and stripe the parking lot out here, which is horrible. Hopefully we can get that done this year. And $10,000 for just some new furniture, fixtures, and things we need in the courthouse. AOC, you'll see this is their 52% of some of the expenses of the courthouse, and 33 of that is janitorial services. So, county property, the 7 and the 9, 7,900 is for utilities for the property that we own right now, 11 Road, East Main, little pool of money in case we need anything there. Under IT, we have software. This is just our normal software costs for the things that we use in the county at $50,000. His new equipment is $8225. So nothing significant there. Building inspector, we added the new line for a FEMA floodplain coordinator stipend. Everything else is pretty much same as last year. Emergency management, let's see, we have,
That 10,000 we spent for Civic Ready, Brian's going, we really need to push getting that utilized more.
Okay.
I agree.
I put Civic.
I mention it every opportunity I get, especially on the Joe Show, telling people to sign up for it.
There's Civic Plus and Civic Ready. And Civic Plus, I put under Bill's schedule, budget schedule. Civic Ready, I moved to Brian. So that's a kind of a new line for his budget, but it makes sense it would fall under his budget.
Yeah. Lexington has a big push for theirs as well.
Yeah, we really, especially after this weekend, we really need to get more people signed up. I did budget for one siren. Should we have one go down, I felt like that was more of a safety net for us.
If we don't use it, could we utilize that maybe for a billboard or two to advertise the Civic
That'd
Ready?
be a good idea.
Yeah.
Kind of put it in some certain areas.
Be a good idea.
The forest fire public defender required by KRS and pretty much online with what we've done in the past. And then we come to animal control. So I received a text from Sissy yesterday asking for some amendments to her budget. I don't know if you want me to read those, Jamie, or do you want to go through?
I could address them
Yeah,
if you'd
please do.
like.
Yes.
So, some of the requests, and I want to acknowledge her persistence and fighting for her staff, but to also acknowledge that it's not going to get increased. Her staff request, she's persistently asking for an increase in her staff salary, which, again, I appreciate that fight in her. But a couple of things, she has asked that we decrease the, basically the cleaners from 30,000 down to 15,000. I think she's having a hard time, I guess, finding 4 people, and she feels comfortable that with another change that I'm getting ready to mention, that there will be enough people in the back to kind of also help some with the cleaning, and so she's asked that be reduced from 30 down to 15,000.
And then is that just going to be 2 cleaners?
Yeah,
Okay.
2 part-time.
Is that people in the back including volunteers?
No.
No.
And so I went to, there was a meeting, I guess a week ago, with the Humane Society Board, because and this relates to the next line below the cleaners, which is the adoption coordinator. And Sissy has changed her mind on that. The Humane Society has hired an adoption coordinator, and so there seems to be increased communication between her and Carrie, and that's all been moving in a very positive direction. And so one of the things Sissy is saying is she really needs more help in the back of the house, if you will, with the care for the animals. And so she's asking for 2 positions, but I really think that we can just do 1, and she's going to need to decide what that is. So she's wanting to scratch the adoption coordinator and make that either an animal control specialist or an animal control program manager, or I'm not sure why that can't be all those things. So it basically is just a change in title in the budget there, from adoption coordinator to animal control specialist. And that would be somebody that would, animal care specialist, sorry. And that would be somebody that really helps in the back of the house, if you will, because that's where, and that person also will be involved in the adoption process, and that's where the communication lines come into play, is in order to prevent animals from being returned to the center, and it's kind of, and to minimize our recidivism, if you will, in the animal control process, is we need to have better communication so that the adoption side knows the demeanor and all of those characteristics of the animals in the back. And so that's where some of the staffing process will help in the Humane Society by them hiring an adoption coordinator. So all that combined means there's going to be more hands on deck out there, more full-time hands on deck, not volunteers, not depending on volunteers. That, you know, we have a lot of great volunteers in the Humane Society, but they do come and go, and so this will be more full-time people. So that'll help. Okay, go ahead.
If you're going to move on to another line, I want to come back up to the janitorial salary. Is this going to potentially, I guess, increase the responsibility of our animal control officers in any way, shape, or form of taking care of the cleaning of the building?
No,
because it's happened before.
Right. No, I don't think so. I think she felt comfortable. My understanding was from this board meeting and hearing her talk about it, is she seems to feel comfortable that they can get by with that lesser number.
We just
there.
don't need any consternation by our officers
right
from things past.
Right. And on there, I do want to back up to one of the points, since we're going backwards here, on their salaries, that we've been trying to help Sissy fully understand is they do get a better wage than is actually listed there as Officer 1 and 2 salary, because if you see below, they have built-in overtime and on-call pay that gets split between them, and so their pay is better than advertised, if I'm saying that correctly.
Yeah, you all had asked us to break that out, so.
Yeah. So
yeah.
So that's, and then the only other changes that she's made here at the last minute, which are relatively minor, is she's asking for an additional $1,000 in operating supplies, which takes that from 1,000 to 2,000. And she's asking for an additional, in the training line, she's asking for an additional $400, which takes that from $2,100 to $2,500. So those are the changes requested in the animal control. So again, she is asking for she's asking for a change in the title of adoption coordinator, and then she's also asking for another position, but in discussion with the judge and Julie and Steve's been involved in some of this, the committee, we feel like we can just replace the adoption coordinator position with one of those other positions, and so she's not going to be able to get 2 new positions effectively, just one.
At the same dollar?
Yeah. If not less.
And in her defense, when we talked about 4 cleaners, that was the immediate need. But as she gets more into this role and learns more every day, I think the needs kind of change, the priorities change, and so.
How many hours will this person be required to work?
I would say that they work 8 to 4 out there.
Monday through Friday, or?
Yes.
Full-time.
Full-time.
So, I mean, but it's a tradition, it's a real full-time, it's not like 36 hours, it's
No,
40 hours.
The animal controller 8 to 4. Well,
Okay.
then they're on call, the ACOs.
But this new coordinator, whatever,
8 to 4.
8 to 4.
8 to 4, yeah.
building open 8 to 4.
What was that?
Hasn't been traditionally.
This person that's going to be paid almost $40,000 a year, it's one thing when you got the animal control people that are all over the county doing stuff, but what was the adoption coordinator is now what?
Animal care
Specialist.
And
that
or
would,
program
we
manager.
wouldn't have to lock the doors all the time, would we?
I would, that you, y'all know how
Well,
I
this
feel
was
about
just sprung on us last night, so we're not exactly sure which direction Sissy's going, but we're gonna leave the position in there, and then
Yeah, this is
to be
just to get through the
determined as to
budget
what
discussion.
title they're gonna have, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to understand how many hours they're gonna work and how much we're gonna pay them. I
Yeah.
mean, if they're only working 30 hours a week and we're gonna pay them 38,000, that's a lot,
Mhm.
you know, for,
It's a
you know.
It'd be a
full-time.
40-hour
It's a
position.
full-time position.
I just look at our other
Right.
positions out there in other departments and like, okay, you know, are we spending a lot on animal control? Now, the flip side of that, if you've seen Garrett County right now, they're hurting. They've got a mess out there. They're about to start euthanizing dogs again. And so it's important, but, well, I'm gonna say, if we're making cuts other places,
She lists the animal care specialist as 31,200. But I'm just, for budget purposes, I'm suggesting we just leave that number
The 38.4.
in place. We reduce the 30,000 to 15,000.
Okay.
In the
Yeah.
cleaners.
Mhm.
And then if she truly wants an animal care specialist and we can get that for 31 too, then that's what it'll be.
all right,
Yeah,
thank you.
that's good.
So we're funding one position.
One position.
Okay.
One position.
On the next page, these are new items. The new equipment, they're,
Hold on, sorry.
yes.
And you've taken into consideration benefits and all that stuff for this new
Yeah, I
position?
added it to the,
Thank you.
new equipment will be to arm our ACOs with weapons and give them some training on how to use those weapons. Food is a new line item, food supplies for the dogs. And travel is a little higher this year because we do think they need to go to some conferences and get certified better, so.
Who will be coordinating the training once we arm our?
There, Sam and the sheriff,
Good.
I've
I
talked
was
to
hoping
Taylor,
you'd say
yes,
that.
yeah.
Not Chris, though.
No, not Chris.
Food supplies, are we still seeing donations come in on foods?
I think so, but a lot of those go back out. It's sort of like a food pantry situation for dogs out there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Solid waste, everything is pretty much the standard. I don't think there's anything in here that is new that's not paid for by a grant. Angie is great about getting her stuff paid for by grants. And the same with recycle.
Because Jason wouldn't give me anything.
Really, the only increase for Angie was fuel. I mean,
That's not true.
well, yeah.
This extra money that I want to talk about, this $550,000 for contract services, when are we getting rid of them?
Well, if we do, it'll be next year.
Rumpke, Optus, not Rumpke, Republic?
That was the COLA, that's because they got away without about 3 years of us not being.
I understand.
because
That's their
nobody,
fault, not
you
ours.
know, paid attention.
Yeah. Anyway, my question, I guess, is
I
if,
don't even know if it'll be 550, but we had the rest of this year to serve out, and then, you know,
okay,
I try to keep it down, you know, they've gotten better. You know, when I first came here, I would have ran them out on a,
you tried.
I tried. They have gotten better. I will give them
Good.
that. They do support whatever I need as far as, Brass Band Festival, the Boyle
Okay.
County Fair. I understand the hot air balloon thing is coming back. You
Yep.
know, the airport's already contacted me. So they're good about not charging us to do all that stuff.
Okay.
So,
Well, my biggest question was with.
but now I love Rumpke too, so they're a good company to work with.
Would Rumpke be able to support the dead animal like we've gotten with Republic?
They claim so, but we'd have to wait and see.
Okay, all right, good deal.
It should be next, if I'm not mistaken, October 1, so I'll be starting on it here probably towards the end of the year. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Good job, Zoe.
Any questions on solid waste recycling?
Be nice to our solid waste people.
Yes, please. Greenhouse 17 and CASA are the amounts that you asked to be funded.
Budget was in there.
Yeah, no, I was incorrect on that. Soil conservation, we put a 2% increase in this budget because the contract does say 2%.
And the contract expires, June 30th. Even though we didn't go into this contract until August 8th. But starting July 1 of 2024, a 2% cost of living increase will be added to the agreed compensating yearly rate.
Okay.
So this will be coming up for your all's review and approval, either at the next meeting or for sure by the second meeting.
Service to indigent section, the only question I have is family services. Where do you want to put a number in there?
Yeah, and that was the question I was gonna have, because, I mean, again, I do wanna, I mean, they do
Yeah.
amazing work, and they are, you know, they've been around since the beginning of time, over 100 years, providing services, and that was one that I think they've kind of gotten lost in the confusion and shuffle with the United Way issue, and so I'm hoping we can put something in there for
I
them.
think we were
because-
10 in 22, 23, we were 7,500 last year.
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind 7,500 staying in there for them.
Everybody okay with that?
I would like to check that return on the dollar. Because I remember they had a couple staff members come in here and they're
They are
smart.
probably, other than Salvation Army, probably one of the most,
Dollar for dollar.
well, that work with homeless families.
Yeah.
I understand
That's
that.
what I was trying to get.
They utilize.
Is
Is that Kim Bledsoe?
I would be thrilled if we hear that they return 95 cents on a dollar, and I'd like to know.
We'll go ask them.
The kitchen, I just want to mention the kitchen, I think they asked for 57 and I was able to get it in at 55.
Can we go back to 57 since we got some money from animal care?
We can. If you choose.
I
to,
really
yeah.
just want to
I
help
hope-
fund that project. I think it's a worthwhile project.
That's why I brought it up, because I think we
Which
need
one?
I mean,
the
it's-
kitchen,
It's
senior
not-
citizen kitchen.
Under.
Oh,
It's not just senior citizens that go out there. There's adult daycare out there.
Right.
and you want to do what with it?
I'd like to take it back to the
Back to
57, 645, was it he asked for?
Yeah, 57, I'll have to pull the paperwork, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm almost
I'll just
positive.
put fully fund
Yes.
in my note here.
Not fully funded, because we're only
Well,
part of it.
their request,
From our state.
I know what I mean.
No more than 58,000.
So is the backpack program going to go to sponsorships? Or is it just going to be,
I felt like that's what we had talked about.
I think that's a better
Sponsoring
fit.
that.
okay,
Based on where they are.
all right.
Okay, recreation. One of the conversations I had with Lee was on the request for recreation. We have not been budgeting the last couple of years the COLA increase that we should have by contract. So I did figure out what that was and where it should be based on the last 3 years, and so I put in 380,000. That is what our contracted amount should be. I was able to leave in the 50,000 for upgrades to White's Park, and that is the pavilion, the bathrooms, and possibly a match for a grant for playground equipment. So we'll see if we can get that started this year. Constitution Square, we have that position with approval of this budget would go to full-time position at the park. I think we need it.
When will we start interviewing on that?
I think once we know that the court passes the budget, then we can take
July
care of
1.
it.
July 1.
Sooner the better.
We won't do anything until then.
Once Steve's back from vacation. That's right.
I have repair and maintenance at 18,000, maintenance supplies 25, utilities 27. There is rent that comes in around 16,000 from our tenants. The endowment, 100,000.
Double the rent, please.
Yeah.
They just got a lot more money.
Yeah. JJ?
Taking Elizabeth.
So I have 100 going into the endowment and 80,000 to repair the remaining roofs. So the roofs will be done after, hopefully this summer.
Hold on, where's the security out there?
The cameras is
Yeah.
under the repair and maintenance, 18,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
We need that.
Yes.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and these are gonna be hardwired, they're not gonna be solar, so we'll have a better way of monitoring who is
Yeah, better
spraying our
picture
fire.
quality, too.
Yeah.
Not some Sam's Club cameras?
No. Okay, celebration fireworks, this is the amount that Josh gave us that's gonna cost to do the fireworks. It's actually down from last year, which is great. Your appropriations for arts and entertainment is $10,000 to Arts Center, $6,000 to Civil Air, $30,000 to Brass Band, $40,000 to Parable, $3,000 to Arts Commission, and $1,000 to Veterans.
Where's the downbeat?
They asked for that as part of the 30.
But we've asked to separate that out.
Separate that.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to separate it because if downbeat goes away, I don't want to come back a couple years and like, oh, it was 30,000 before.
Yeah, I remember that.
I will fix that. Okay.
Thank you.
The next section is your debt service on your energy projects. And that comes to $150,000 this year, 34. Your audit, your insurance, your disability, all that is of the next section, which is your liabilities and general dues and such. I was able to put in $125,000 in contingent, which is where we can pull some funds if we need to for some of these things. I have $20,000 in reserve for economic development. That was the EDA asked for $25,000 for legal fees to pull from, and I put it in contingent reserve for $20,000. I was able to get $20,000.
Works for me.
And then I have $125,000 slated to go into the money market sometime next year.
Did we ask that on the EDA, if they had come asking for that $225,000 and it comes before us, was that one of the asks before? Or they just can't come in and get the...
Yeah, that's going to be
Okay.
a given. Health insurance and Social Security, all that good stuff is the next section. Public Works, the, let's see, if there's anything, we have $100,000 in for asphalt. And that will make a budget for paving county roads at somewhere right at $1 million. So we will be able to do some county, not state roads, county roads.
County roads, yeah.
This year, if we can get the asphalt guys on board.
Yeah.
And Roger has time.
I can put any pressure on it.
Yeah. We were also able to.
He was so giddy when he first took the job.
His hairline is.
He had hair.
It's like he's lost half of it just past weekend.
We were able to fund the equipment needs, the hot box, everything they need, 2 trucks, everything Roger needed was, we were able to work that in at the last minute when I figured I had budgeted 2 expenses that I did expenses twice.
Speaking of fitted in, signage, we talked about.
Yes, could you discuss what we talked about on the phone, what you think we need to move that to?
So, we talked about it with Amanda. The state hopefully will be putting up some signs on Goggin about like those blinking your speed signs, whatever. I'd actually like to ask for, at least for my district, I don't know if anyone else wants to get involved on this, but to fund a couple of those signs. I know Old Bridge could use a couple of them. Some other places, some other county roads, maybe you guys want some. So, I mean, I would like to personally ask just for about 10,000.
I agree, because we have needs in our district, and Paul, I think you spoke up last meeting too.
So you saying move it from 7,500 up to 10,000?
Well, no.
Add 10,000 too.
I'd like to add 10,000, and I don't know how much they want, but that's.
I mean, how much do we have to?
Well, you have that 125 that I kind of set there for
this.
Yeah, this kind of
Well,
stuff.
for anything, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I
for
really
any.
put that there because
So-
I
So
figured
it
there
could
was going
come
to be
from
some,
that.
yeah.
So do you want to up that to 25,000? The 7,500 to 25,000? Would that be allowable where we could put some signs out? And it's not all going to Tom's district?
Again, can we put signs out that say potholes ahead, please slow down?
Yes.
Truly, have you ridden
Pretty
the
soon
roads
we'll say
with Roger?
pothead.
Why don't you, Roger and Truly
Some people
ride the
might
roads
be
once a
out there,
year, so why don't you guys make notes of places you think to sign, you know.
I have about 3 to 4 that I
Desperately, yeah.
definitely would like in my district.
Okay, so 7,500 to 25,000, is that what you said?
What he said, yes.
What do you mean?
I don't know what a sign costs. I mean,
Yeah, we'll have to.
They're about 2,000 to 2,500. But we'll figure it out.
Plus of
Yeah, well, I mean, I was sitting here trying to think of, how much we want to put in the budget, I'm like, I don't even know what we're really talking about here,
Well,
about
Master
signs.
Cullen's just requesting 10,000, and then if we do another,
12.
17,
1150, 1250.
yeah.
So what I'm asking for, Roger, is you know those signs where it's like, it says speed limit,
Oh, yeah.
and it says, it spells what the speed limit is, and then underneath it, it flashes what your speed is.
Oh, okay.
Those are what
Okay.
I've been looking for
Okay,
Goggin for years.
Right. I was just, when you first said that, I was just thinking about like some kind of caution light or something, on it.
I'll take whatever at this point,
No,
but. Yeah, those are the.
I understand what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
those are the signs that I like. I know that they're needed in Old Bridge. I know they're needed. We'd probably have to talk to the city, but I know there's probably some needed back like in Indian Hills, some various places.
They make one that if you go over that limit, the blue light flash, they got blue lights that flash. And you think the place is after you.
Okay.
I did one lesson that way, I know.
You tested it?
Okay, so we're gonna change it from 7,500 to 25,000.
That's my request. I don't know.
Is that agreeable
Will
with?
that fit? I mean,
Let me work on it. I'll get it as high as I can. Let me see, I think this sissy money might help us in some of these areas.
Okay.
You know, the cutting of.
For you guys,
Yeah.
Paul, I guess Paula and Tom would be the other ones that.
Well, that road assessment that you all make will tell us more.
But now, you're talking about Goggin, right, Master Cullen? You're talking about.
Goggin should be state funded.
So I was gonna say.
I believe the state is gonna take care of those, but I have a couple others maybe that are in some neighborhoods.
Okay, Old Bridge.
It's either those or speed bumps. I don't know which one you like better, Roger.
No, speed bumps.
No, no speed humps, but
speed
You
humps.
can't
not
cheat
bumps.
on speed.
we got plenty of.
I like those ones that actually go down and you
Bottom
take
out.
out a radiator. Those are my favorites.
Okay, moving along.
All right, capital improvements, public works. We have 100,000 in here to patch the roof at the government service center instead of a 375,000 new roof, based on the discussions of some options we may be looking at. The bridge, carry forward the bridge money. 799,000 was our road. Truly, what's the word?
Discretionary.
Thank you.
Well, it was.
It's really
No, it's
county
not
road aid.
discretionary.
Is it county road aid? County road aid.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then flex,
there's so many different ones.
and then discretionary is a percentage
There you
of
go.
county road aid.
Yeah,
And then I was able to put 23.9 in case we had an emergency and we needed to match that. So road improvements and the roof at government service center is $3,288,923. And then we have, of course, their liability insurance and their vehicle insurance in the next section. We have a little bit of conservative look at what we think they'll carry forward in their checking account and some contingent reserves that they take the educational opportunities that they may be, what is that, the road scholars? Yeah. Everything in the next section based on Social Security, vacation, all that's pretty much on target with last year, this year. The jail, let's see, where do we start? Jail salaries was, yeah, we're gonna have to make probably some transfers into the jail fund. Part of it is I don't think we budgeted the overtime in there, so we did put that in there, takes the salaries up to 1.9 million. Part-time, I also plugged in 35% reimbursement to Mercer County from their funds of the joint jail account, not the joint jail account. Restricted account, thank you. The reentry coordinator is 26,000, and we do get money back on that. Let me see if I can find that real quick.
Is the bracelets in here?
Ankle bracelets?
monitors?
Yes, it is.
Wonderful.
Trying to find the reentry coordinator. I know it's in here.
Back to the, I'm sorry, but back to the reimbursement, Mercer Jail.
Yeah.
Have we had the discussion about their contract commitments?
Yes.
And does that take into consideration that?
No. I think there was discussion, you want to talk about that? I wasn't at the last joint jail meeting, about the energy bonds for the energy, their portion of the energy upgrades.
Well, the comment was made at the last joint jail meeting that they didn't think they should have to pay anymore on the energy service energy debt service, because we were gonna own the building. We were gonna have the building, but we're trying to find the contract to see how it's written and what, you know, the verbiage is on that, because we went into it as a joint venture, so I feel like they are still responsible for their
They are.
remainder.
And they're terminating voluntarily to change, so.
Yeah, the offer came from them, so.
Yes.
Yeah, because the point that I've been making and will continue to make is that whatever that amount due to finish out that contract is, needs to be withheld from their refund on their restricted funds.
Makes sense to me.
I think that's the plan.
Yeah, that's the
We just
plan.
don't know how much they owe on it. We're trying to find that paperwork to confirm that. But just to be safe, I put in 35% of the restricted account, just to be safe.
Because we need to figure that out so I can do the ending agreement.
Right,
So I wanted to
right.
include that in there.
Do you have a copy of it?
I thought I sent you and Ted my proposed. If not, I'll send you.
No, do you have a copy of the agreement, or the debt service agreement?
No, I'm not
Okay.
going to have that.
Okay.
That would be.
I just
for-
thought maybe you might have.
And that's
old
probably
copy.
before my
It was for.
2019.
It was.
Let's see, on the jail. You never know with the jail what's going to come up, but Brian and Chad and I tried to be, based on what the year-to-date was, as close to that as we could get. The budget that you saw in April, you would have already, July 1, probably been.
Well,
looking at
hopes
making
is that with some of these ankle monitors, some of these costs go down at some point.
I did leave that in there, and I explained to Brian that this is, we're funding it. We just need to put it in the jail fund. And also I need to be working with William to figure out a trigger to get reimbursed for some of these that are not considered indigent. And I haven't had a chance to do that, but I hope to do that real soon.
All right.
Let's see, where are we?
We're at Shepherd House.
Shepherd House, that contract will be up for review next year. And I do think we need to take a good look at that and see. We are funding everything at the Shepherd's House on South 3rd Street. Second? Third, thank you. So I put it in based on the contract that expires next year, and that's something we probably need to look at next year.
Make sure Barry's part of that.
Yes, yes. The debt service for Mercer County for this year, Jamie, is $14,138, but we don't know how long that goes on.
Well, we think it's 3 more payments.
Yeah, we're just
Yeah,
not sure.
that's what I was thinking.
speculating.
I don't think it's a huge amount
Yeah.
that they will owe for their
Right.
part of it,
Right.
but I do think that they should
They should, yeah.
owe their part because they were in agreement that needed to be done, so.
You?
Let's see.
Joint jail fund description.
Yes, you see there, I have our reserves for transfer, a restricted amount. That's our part of the restricted account. The 288,563 is our part. The LG, so the budget, jail budget now is 1.422 million. So that's up a little bit, I think, from the one you did in April. Road LGEA money, $147,855. We are having a public meeting at the next fiscal court meeting. Start about 15 minutes early, so we'll have that public meeting. Bond proceeds, I'm going to talk to RJ and see if these numbers are still what they need to be in our budget. I haven't had a chance to do that. The health account, health insurance account, based on what numbers we're seeing, again, this is one of those fluid accounts, you just don't know. And we have about 800,000 in the reserve account. The Boyle jail account, which is our savings account, has $49,204.21. EMS, let's see. EMS, I left everything the same. We do have 2 ambulances in here in this budget. Some power lift, a respirator or something, yeah. So, the crisis co-response team, I tried to write this, we're getting 250,000 in this year, in this budget year here, and we have a $25,000 match. So that may come out of in-kind, but I felt like if they asked for our budget, I wanted to show that we had a $25,000 match. The EMS fund, everything is pretty much on target with what we had last year. The fleet fund is still a new fund for us, only second year, so we're just trying to figure everything out still on what expenses are. I think he needed a new piece of equipment, a lathe and stuff. So that's at $97,000. The fleet budget is $241,885. Clerk storage fund is at $93,914. The opioid account is at $269,921, and I will make that transfer, so that number might change. The parable TAP grant, which hopefully we'll be working on that soon. The ARPA fund, I have it at, I have funds to transfer, $91,000, you'll see that. The $373 is what we owe Parksville, and the $115 is if we do that sweep that we may need to do. And then the E911 description is based on the numbers last week. So our budget, not including bonding and investments, is $34,999,380.94.
I move that we approve the first reading of the budget with the few changes suggested, provided they all work.
Okay. Have a motion by Manager Gay.
Second.
Second by Manager Cullen to approve first reading of the Bull County Fiscal Court fiscal year 2024-25 budget. Any other discussion?
Just
Thanks for the team that put it together.
thank you all very much for stepping in.
All right, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. We'll send it to DLG. They will sign off on it, send it back to us, and we'll have second reading probably at the second meeting in June.
So be thinking about your capital projects. I don't know if you want to talk about those now, but anything I couldn't fit in that
On the
budget
back page.
that was a capital project is on that sheet. And so your bike park, your parks, your bell tower, all that is going to have to come out of reserves. So
And what was our reserve approximate
on the
amount
back page.
5 years ago?
oh, it was probably 8 million.
I was thinking it was more like
Less.
5.
I think it's about 5 or 6.
I want the public to understand, you know, that when we make decisions on capital projects, once again, we're going to be good custodians of their dollars, because there's some pretty significant dollars here, but the ability to pay for them.
The interest rate has been our friend.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's also very important to make sure that as we go forward these next several years, we look to ways to not spend everything we take in, that we start increasing that reserve as well, especially if we do some of these capital projects.
Okay, thank you all very much. Appreciate everybody's work in getting that ready for first reading. As we approach the noon hour, we will also have our magistrate reports. I just like it, Steve.
I like that.
All right, we will start with Magistrate Cullen today.
Thank you.
I don't have anything. Oh, the Brass Band Festival. And make sure you attend it. So a little different this year, but great event.
Okay, Master Gay?
I just want to always like to take this opportunity here on the heels now of Memorial Day to remember my grandfather, Paul Woodrow Craig, who I never knew. He was killed in action in World War II when my mom was 6 and her sister was 3, my aunt. And I don't know, I just think it's, you know, that's what Memorial Day is about, are those soldiers that we lost in the line of duty. And you know, you think about all of life that they miss. And so I try to do what I do in honor of him.
Some gave off. Some gave off. This was your grandfather? How about we adjourn in his memory?
Well, thank you.
All right. Measure sleep.
The EDA did not meet this past month in May, so there's been no action on the NFS property. Animal control, we already covered that. Magistrate Gay, working on that earlier. Homeless Task Force met May 21st, and it's kind of like what Senator Amanda said, with everybody having their idea what's best and being at loggerheads kind of over. But we have come to the conclusion that we need to, and I partially reported on this last time, develop and conduct a survey of the unhoused to determine the particular needs and how they can best be addressed. And that survey would serve as a guide to maybe a potential director or coordinator in connecting the unhoused with the services. Additionally, a nonprofit organization needs to be formed in order to engage in fundraising and receive funds. You know, does it good to ask for funds we don't have anywhere to put them?
Right.
You know, so
Right.
that's going to be our priority. Next meeting is July 23rd. There will not be a meeting in June. June 11th, I'll be participating in the Kentucky Women's Network panel discussion on affordable housing. That'll be at 7 p.m. at Intercounty. I know some of us will already be at the conference, but I'll be delayed going because of that. The Rural Heart Lung Research had their quarterly citizen advisory board, met on May 20th. I sit on that board, and the research subjects for the study are from 25 to 64 years of age, but they are really needing to recruit more 25 to 34-year-olds. So if you know of anyone that fits in that age group, we're really looking for subjects in that area. The mobile exam unit will be arriving in Breathitt and Perry counties in 6 months from now, and Boyle County should expect it to arrive here in the summer of 2025. So looking for suitable sites for setup. It's 50-some feet long. It's 32,000 pounds or something. I have the criteria exactly, but it's a massive unit, so it needs really good concrete placement and such, and plus the electrical and other utility requirements are substantial. And they're also requesting ideas for publicizing the unit coming to our area. And so if you have any ideas pertaining to that, we appreciate it. One last thing, my granddaughter, Happy Sleeper, graduated with honors from Danville High School this past Friday.
Awesome.
With the Farmers National Bank Scholarship. She's going to be attending Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, New York, which has been a dream of hers for a long time. And,
Wow.
so we're excited about that. And then also my grandson, Austin Carpenter, graduated from Boyle County. He actually graduated in December, but walked this past Friday as well. And he's living up to his name. His last name's Carpenter, and he's working as a finishing carpenter in Louisville. So.
They're much needed, so, yes. Yes, congratulations to both of them. Mr. Ellis.
Thank you, Judge. And I'd like to echo kudos to all Danville and Boyle County graduates. They have a life ahead of them that could be quite exciting. And secondly, also mentioning deep gratitude for Senator Bledsoe being here today. Having many, many years of experience in Frankfort and Washington, I have never in my life seen a more prepared and more complete senator in a first term or second or third term for that matter than Senator Bledsoe. I'd also like to thank Mary Carter Barton for being here representing Congressman Comer's office. there could not have been a better meeting for you to see what we really do with the budget that you had to sit through and see what we're up to. Tonight, Mayor Rob Kernodle from Perryville and I are going to be on the agenda at Danville City Commission meeting. Serious concerns about the fiscal impact that's already taken place with the 8 breaches and the new water line that's going. And he and I met yesterday afternoon to talk about just how we'll handle that in a request for some level of reimbursement to all those families, about 415 or 420 families that have undue costs, especially on the sewer tax that's taken after the water comes into the homes. Judge, I don't know, and you come through every day, Roger. Are the barrels still in place at Horseshoe Bend?
Yeah.
That is such an unbelievable breach in the pavement. The pavement on that curve is 8 inches thick, and there's a cavern that goes at least 30 inches under that pavement. I would not dare take my tiny little truck over that area. I would go to the yellow line and cross it as long as no traffic was coming. And Judge, we need to be in touch with District 7 on what they're going to do and how soon. There is essentially a crescent moon of grass that's 12 or 15 feet in that curve on the opposite side of the breach of the pavement. And I think that would be the resolution to a very dangerous situation. If anybody went off that guardrail, they'd go straight down 60 feet into a ravine.
Do you give me an update on that, Roger? Okay.
No.
We'll follow up with that then.
Yeah.
And finally, I'm so excited about the Heritage Hospice June 14th fundraiser. This morning I was thrilled that Randy Graham contacted me ahead of time, and he talked about the football that's been signed by the entire football team, the coaches, the cheerleaders, and even the managers that will be auctioned. And I also want to thank WHIR for handling that interview. So, Judge, that's what I have.
Thank you, sir. Measure Bowden.
Still haven't gotten with Danville about what they're doing with the bike park, what amount they're going to put in, but I do have that on a to-do list. Well, one thing, my grandson graduated Friday night, and so like everybody
And
else.
who is that young man?
Avery Bowden. I had 3 grandsons this year. Next year I'll have a granddaughter and a grandson still at the high school, but I do appreciate all the education that he's received. He's, really done extremely well at Boyle County, and they've been really good to him. And he will graduate and go into for a business degree. Of course, he's going to play some football along the way at Thomas More. So excited for him and all the other graduates. All these graduates are going to be our future employees and employers. So this is our future. These Danville High School and Boyle County High School, the Danville Christian Academy. So, we need to support them and look to them for our future. And I would also like to say thank you to the firemen. My mom had to get way over on the road for the accident, and so the emergency vehicles could get through. Well, when she did, her little car is really low, and it kind of made this scraping sound. She got nervous, so she called me, and of course I was headed that way, but a fireman come over and asked her, he said, "Do you want me to get that car out?" And she's like, "Yes." So he turned it around for her, which was a small thing, but it was really meant a lot to her. So I wanted to thank him. I don't know who he was, but wanted to thank him for that. And that's all I have.
All right. Thank you all. Magistrate Harmon is not with us today, and I would ask that you all just remember him in your prayers going forward. I'm not exactly sure what's going on today. He just texted me and said he could not be here, and was trying to either get an appointment or a conversation or something with his heart doctor. So we just want to remember Magistrate Harmon. County Attorney.
Yes, June 7th, I'm having our safety director, prosecutor from Frankfurt come down to speak to our police officers and sheriffs who have signed up. It's called Cops in Court. It's going to help prepare them for when they are in court. You have to testify, and they go through a mock trial. So that's going on June 7th. I would encourage all everyone to, like the chief and the sheriff, to encourage their persons to take part in this, because I think it's very, very important. It will help, so I won't have to dismiss cases. We have good preparation and testimony. I think it can help lead to convictions. So hopefully our sheriff and chief will encourage their people to take part in this.
Chris,
Yes.
actually, Deputy Sheriff and the Sheriff and I met this morning, and that was a big part of the conversation, was talking about that and coming up with ways to make sure they get more of their people signed up, so.
Well, that's great, thank you.
Yeah.
Also, brass band's coming up June 7th. I'm excited for that. I had to miss it last year. I went on vacation, but so it'll be fun. Hope we'll have nice weather. Hate that we're not having the church service on Sunday, because I always thought that was really special. So, but it'll be good. Our middle school, Boyle's Middle School baseball team, I understand that they won the state championship. So congratulate them. I help, I'm an assistant coach for the Boyle high school tennis team. Our #1 doubles boys and #1 doubles girls made it to the state. Our boys played as we were in this long meeting. They lost, unfortunately, but our girls, last time I had an update, they were up 4-3 in the first set, so we'll keep our fingers crossed for them. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Julie, you have any additional?
Just that, two things, the administrative code, I'll start working on that next and try to get a draft to you by the next meeting so we have time to look at it. And then I just want to give you an update on the 22-23 settlement, treasurer settlement. Jackie has gotten 3 of our funds to balance, so I feel like we're going to get that done pretty quick.
Yes.
Get that
That's
filed.
moving along.
So,
That's moving along very,
Proud of
very well.
everybody.
And could I mention one other thing?
Yes, ma'am.
You know, when you were saying all that, you know, my granddaughter was on the softball team that were district champs, and Austin's on the baseball
Yeah.
team that was
Awesome.
district champs.
Well, thanks to Skirter River.
Yeah.
That's great.
And Judge, one more thing on the middle school baseball team. I don't think it's ever happened in the history of the middle school state tournament that the mercy rule had to be employed, because in the 6th inning, they were up 12-2 in the championship state
Oh, wow.
game.
Wow, that's awesome. All right, Shannon, you have anything? Okay. So, I will miss the Brass Band Festival this year because I'm leaving tomorrow to go on a vacation.
What?
Yes.
I thought every day here was a vacation for you.
Is this Italy?
No. No, this is just a vacation with my mom. But while I'm gone, just a reminder that Deputy Judge Susanna Ryan will be here, so if anything were to happen emergency-wise, she is ready and able to assist in whatever. That's all I have, and I would ask that we have a motion to adjourn in memory of Jamie's grandfather, Carl Woodrow Craig, who was a World War II veteran.
Make that motion.
Okay, have a motion by Magistrate Cullen, second by Magistrate Gay. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
And see you all in a week.
Thank you.
My mom was a Craig. Joyce Craig. Her dad